Chapter 92. Don't come any closer, or I'll kill the dog. Lu Chai raised Go-Dan and threatened the orcs who were approaching him. This trick was indeed effective. When the orcs saw Go-Dan in Lu Chai's hand, their expressions changed and they looked very surprised. Hand over the son of the sea and let go of the young master, and I'll let you go, the leader of the orcs said with a ferocious face. In your dreams, Lu Chai answered decisively. You should know that your companions are still in our hands. The orc gestured to the back. The orcs behind him quickly pulled Lu Chai's companions up from the ground and put their hands on their neck. Both sides were in a stalemate. How dare you threaten me? Lu Chai glared at them and glanced at Go-Dan in his hand. Then, he noticed Go-Dan's little earthworm and pinched it. Ow 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 ow. Go-Dan let out a heart-wrenching howl. The orcs could not help but tremble when they saw it. Don't touch the young master. What do you want? Let them go. We'll trade. Hand over the young master and the son of the sea. The leader of the orcs growled. F***CKU, I'll break it now. Lu Chai threatened again as he stared at Go-Dan, who was rolling his eyes in his hand. Looking at Go-Dan, the leader of the orcs seemed to be struggling. The young master and the son of the sea were very important to him, so he was in a dilemma. After a moment of confrontation, the leader of the orcs looked ruthless and said, I'll give you one more chance. I'll give you another chance, let's exchange. Boss Shao Tian doesn't only have one child, but you and your companion only have one life. You have to think about it carefully. The 9 people who were restrained had a strange look on their faces when they heard this. To them, how could their lives be more valuable than the son of the sea? It was crazy to threaten their boss with their lives. F***CK, how dare you threaten me? I'm not afraid of threats. Come on, I'll count to 3 and we'll do it together. Lu Chai glared at them and said. The orcs were nervous when they heard this, but they did not listen to Lu Chai's warning. From their point of view, Lu Chai and his companions were here for the son of the sea. If he killed the young master now, he would not be able to escape from this island and he would not be able to bring the son of the sea out. After all, they did not know about the existence of the artifact space and thought that the son of the sea was still with Lu Chai. 1. Lu Chai began to count. Although the orcs were nervous, they did not think that Lu Chai would really dare to kill their young master, so they remained unmoved. 3. Gotcha. Lu Chai pinched Gooden's neck with his hand. Gooden's body naturally drooped down and became motionless. Lu Chai's sudden jump from 1 to 3 caught the few orcs off guard. They did not expect Lu Chai to actually make a move. Lu Chai threw the limp Gooden to the side and gestured for them to start. Brothers, what are you waiting for? It's your turn. The orc was dumbfounded. How could he be so willful when it was a matter of life and death? When his subordinates saw this, they quietly lowered their pain threshold and turned their heads around to look at the orc, who was still dumbfounded. Brother, it's fast. Thank you. The orcs were speechless. After being stunned for a moment, the few orcs were completely furious. They stretched out their hands and killed the 9 people on the spot. Then, they looked at Lu Chai. When Lu Chai saw this, he also lowered his pain threshold and smiled. Do whatever you want. If you scream in pain, I lose. At this moment, Lu Chai was very happy. He had already obtained the son of the sea, and he was already fantasizing about the beautiful future after the resurrection. 3 hours later, in the mansion of the dead, the resurrected people went online. Lu Chai excitedly took out the son of the sea and ate it in front of the envious eyes of his subordinate. Congratulations to player Lu Chai for obtaining the first talent ability, Sea Spirit's Body. At the same time as the announcement in the server, the data of the talent ability was displayed in front of Lu Chai. Sea Spirit's Body, Talent Ability. Ability details. With the blessing of the Sea God, you have obtained the passive ability, Sea Spirit's Body. You have obtained the special ability, Sea of War. You have obtained the unlearned ability, Tidal Sacrifice. Sea Spirit's Body, Passive recovers 1% of the maximum HP every 2 seconds. This ability can be upgraded as the level increases. Sea of War. Inherent special ability. When this ability is activated, all members of the camp will gain a 5% increase in movement speed and receive 2 healing effects every second. Lasts for 10 minutes and covers a diameter of 100 meters. Title Sacrifice, God's Body Unawakened. Note: the talent ability will evolve as the player grows. Continue to devour the Son of the Sea to accelerate its growth. Looking at the introduction of the talent ability on the attribute panel, Lu Chai was ecstatic. He did not expect this ability to be so powerful. He was a rune master, so he already had plenty of HP. Coupled with the sea spirit's body, he could be said to be a human tank. What made him even more excited was that this talent actually came with a war halo. Although this ability was not as powerful as Sun Chi's, the most important thing was that this ability could grow. After obtaining this talent ability, Lu Chai could already imagine how much the strength of his guild would increase. He could not help but laugh out loud. "Boss, look at this." A few members of the Demolition Guild took out a few spiritual materials from the channel while feeling envious. Derived Rice, Level 5. A special spiritual material cultivated under the nourishment of the spiritual field and the aura of the Son of the Sea. Due to this special spiritual material, it can't be used in spectership or alchemy. Note: it is strongly recommended to sell it in the shop. The price is 500 soul coins per stock. Looking at the introduction of this spiritual material, Lu Chai's eyes widened. He originally thought that the Son of the Sea was the best thing in the spiritual field, so he did not pay attention to the other spiritual materials. He did not expect such a good thing to exist. At this moment, he regretted that he was too impatient and took too little. After all, this was a level 5 spiritual material. It could be said to be the highest level spiritual material that the players could find at this stage. However, what made Lu Chai confused was why this spiritual material could not be used and why it could only be sold in the shop. However, since it was a special spiritual material, Lu Chai had no choice but to ask his men to take out the derived spiritual powder and throw it all into the shop. The initiators, Lu Wu and Bailey, were relieved when they saw Lu Chai throw the derived spiritual rice into the shop. When Lu Chai and the others obtained the Son of the Sea, Lu Wu and Bailey had already noticed them. They were concerned about the Son of the Sea, but Lu Wu and Bailey were concerned about the derived spiritual rice that was nourished by the Son of the Sea. According to Bailey, the orcs were not cultivating the Son of the Sea at all. They were relying on the Son of the Sea to nourish the special spiritual rice in the spiritual field. Although the spiritual rice was a level 5 spiritual material, it had the potential to evolve into a king-level spiritual material. Initially, Lu Wu did not plan to snatch these spiritual materials from Lu Chai and the others. However, Bailey panicked and quickly changed the data on the panel. This made Lu Chai and the others think that this spiritual material was useless, and they still chose to sell it to the shop. Literally, what are these spiritual materials used for? Lu Wu was curious. After all, he had spent a huge sum of 6,000 soul coins to buy these spiritual materials. Bailey had a smile on her face. Didn't I say before that if you want to become a god like the great emperor of Dongyu, you must have a high starting point? Normal spiritual materials are too useless for you, but the derived spiritual rice is different. This is a special spiritual material that is half a step into the king level. In other words, it's time for your cultivation. Lu Wu. His smile gradually became excited. Then what are you going to let me cultivate? Are there any god-level techniques? Bailey nodded her head solemnly and slowly took out the little notebook that Lu Wu was very familiar with from her small pocket. Chapter 93. Bailey flipped through the little notebook seriously. Then, she pointed at the page that was smeared black and said with a serious face, "You're right. Just cultivate this." Lu Wu was speechless. "It's black, what do you want me to learn?" Lu Wu was helpless. Bailey chuckled and tore off the black paper with a tearing sound. She then touched it with the battle accessory ring. Suddenly, the black paper melted at a speed visible to the naked eye until it disappeared. Get ready, I'll transfer it to you. As soon as Bailey finished speaking, a huge amount of data flowed into Lu Wu's mind. Apart from the data that kept appearing in front of Lu Wu's eyes, there were also ancient beasts that roared at the sky. Each of them was like a mountain that traversed the earth, comparable to the god. The Dark Emperor Code, using the beast body to comprehend the laws of heaven and earth, forming the indestructible dark body. This is the great dark sky. Bailey's voice rang in his mind. Wu, choose a divine beast in your mind as your initial enlightened beast body. Bailey's voice rang in Lu Wu's mind again. Upon hearing this, Lu Wu focused his mind and began to choose among the beasts. In Lu Wu's eyes, these divine beasts all had extraordinary auras and were extremely domineering. He could not choose one as the initial enlightened beast body that Bailey mentioned. Bailey's voice rang again. Wu, hurry up! Lu Wu's heart skipped a beat when he heard this. He glanced at the divine beasts again and focused his mind on a divine beast with snow-white fur and flowing light. Swan, swan. The black piece of paper appeared in Lu Wu's mind and started burning rapidly. The mythical beast slowly faded from this world. Lu Wu felt like his body was burning. He tried to open his eyes but realized that he could not control his eyelids at all. The heat lasted for a while, and Lu Wu started to feel thirsty. As time passed, a chill hit him. Lu Wu realized that he could control his body again, and he slowly opened his eyes. However, Lu Wu soon felt that something was wrong. Why were the things in front of him magnified? TSK, so cute. Bailey squatted down and looked at Lu Wu, who had turned into a white cat, and smiled. Lu Wu was speechless. Bailey then took a mirror from the table and passed it to Lu Wu. Look at it yourself, it's really cute. Looking at the white cat in the mirror, Lu Wu's expression gradually became dull. What did you do to me, you bastard? Comprehending the Tao in the beast form is your choice. This is the initial form. Hearing this, Lu Wu almost fainted on the spot. After listening to Bailey's explanation, Lu Wu understood that he had to maintain this form for a while before he could return to his human form. Lu Wu was relieved, but he still felt unhappy. However, Lu Wu also noticed that in this form, the objects in his eyes were exceptionally clear, and he felt that his body was much stronger than before. To familiarize himself with his new body, Lu Wu began to walk around the house. He tried to move his limbs, but as soon as he moved his forelimbs, he fell to the ground. Lu Wu was not used to his new body, so he couldn't even walk normally. All he could do was run and fall all the way. Lu Wu grimaced in pain and couldn't help but meow. After another big fall, Lu Wu wanted to get up, but he felt his body lighten and his vision quickly went up. What? Lu Wu asked as he looked at Bailey, who lifted him up. You're so cute. Bailey hugged Lu Wu in her arms and rubbed him hard. What the F***ck? Lu Wu wanted to cry but no tears came out. This is so unbearable, I didn't expect this to happen to me. Oh right, it's time to eat. Eating the derived spiritual rice will help you to return to your human form in advance. Bailey placed Lu Wu on the ground as she spoke and waved her hand. A stalk of derived spiritual rice appeared from the space and was caught by Bailey. After that, Bailey plucked a few grains of derived spiritual rice from the plant and placed them in the center of her palm before Lu Wu's mouth. Here, eat it. That's enough, show me some respect. Looking at Bailey, who was feeding him with a face full of expectation, Lu Wu felt that his pride was being challenged. Eat it quickly, it will help your body grow. Bailey pushed the derived spiritual rice towards Lu Wu's mouth again. Lu Wu felt helpless and indignant. He lowered his head and swallowed all the derived spiritual rice into his stomach. The derived spiritual rice turned into spiritual mist as soon as it entered his mouth and spread throughout his body. It slowly seeped into Lu Wu's body, causing him to shiver uncontrollably as he felt a sense of comfort. Oh right, Wu, you have to exercise more in the future to speed up the absorption of spiritual energy. Work hard to transform into a human as soon as possible, Bailey said as she made a cheering gesture. Lu Wu remained expressionless. He felt that the life of a cat, no life was hopeless. That's not right. I'm a man, why should I be afraid of this little girl? Is this little girl really going to eat me? Thinking of this, Lu Wu raised his claws and slapped the ground, howling in a domineering manner. However, Bailey giggled and reached out her hand to rub Lu Wu's head again. Lu Wu's imposing manner disappeared in an instant. Lu Wu felt like he had suffered another blow. He got up, found a corner, and began to cry silently. These days were too hard to bear. This was just the beginning. When would it end? The next morning, Lu Wu was still sleeping on his bed with his limbs spread out. Suddenly, he felt an external force shaking him. Lu Wu, who had stayed up all night thinking about his life, opened his bloodshot eyes. Looking at Bei Li's sweet smile, he dispiritedly reached out his claws and slapped Bei Li's hand away. Stop it, I'm going back to sleep. Wu, I told you yesterday that you have to exercise more to speed up the digestion of spiritual energy, Bailey said as she tried to pull Lu Wu up from the bed. Lu Wu ignored her and waved his hand dispiritedly before closing his eyes again. Looking at Lu Wu, who was lazing around in bed, Bei Li's lips curled upwards. She took out a grain of derived spiritual rice the size of a fairy fruit from the artifact space and threw it at Lu Wu's head. Hey, catch the rice. When the derived spiritual rice flew over Lu Wu's head, his nose twitched twice. Ever since he started cultivating, he had been feeling hungry all the time. Smelling the scent of the derived spiritual rice, a strong desire came from his body. He closed his eyes, jumped up from the bed, and held the derived spiritual rice in his mouth. Smack! Lu Wu, who had jumped up, was caught in Bei Li's arms before he landed. It's time to exercise. As she spoke, Bailey carried Lu Wu, who was struggling, to the door. She then opened the door, threw Lu Wu out and closed the door with a bang. A moment later, hearing that there was no more movement outside the house, Bailey carefully opened the door again. Hi, hello, Littly, asterisk. Lu Wu squatted on the floor and greeted Bailey. Bang! The door was closed again, leaving Lu Wu alone in the wind. Bang! 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 Open the door, I want to go home, I'm hungry, I want to eat derived spiritual rice, I want to eat, open the door for me. No matter how hard Lu Wu tried, there was no response from inside the house. Chapter 94. On the third day of Lu Wu's cultivation in the beast form. Wu, the super love cat breakfast I made for you is ready, come and have a taste of my cooking. A voice from the kitchen interrupted Lu Wu's train of thought. At the same time, there was a mixed smell that made Lu Wu's heart skip a beat. Out of curiosity, Lu Wu jumped off the sofa and jogged towards the kitchen. When Lu Wu entered the kitchen, he saw the steaming plate of ugly food that was a mixture of black and green and covered with a layer of brown cheese. He immediately wagged his tail and prepared to escape. While running, Lu Wu mumbled in despair, it's over, it's getting worse and worse. I can't live like this anymore. What made Lu Wu even more desperate was that he was caught by Bailey and brought back to the dining table. Wu, this is a delicacy that I've specially prepared for you. How can you not try it? Bailey said angrily as she rubbed the expressionless Lu Wu. If you have the ability to do it, why don't you take a bite first? What kind of ability is abusing me? Lu Wu glanced at the encyclopedia of cat food that was spread open on the dining table. He then looked at the strange, steaming food and cursed in his heart. At this moment, Bailey wrapped a small triangular scarf around Lu Wu's neck. She pointed at the food with a face full of anticipation. Eat up! Just you wait, when I recover my human form, I'll spank your ass. At this moment, Lu Wu seriously suspected that Bailey had deliberately allowed him to cultivate the Dark Emperor Codex. However, Lu Wu had no choice but to lower his head. He gave up resisting and stood in front of the food with a determined look on his face. Slowly, he lowered his proud head. The moment the food entered his mouth, Blurger Lu Wu arched his back and spat out all the food in his mouth. He had tasted terrible food before, but it was the first time Lu Wu had tasted such a disgusting dark cuisine. The moment the liquid melted in his mouth and slid down his throat came into contact with his gastric juice, his stomach began to convulse, sending signals to Lu Wu's brain that he was about to vomit. Lu Wu even suspected that he would die of food poisoning if he did not spit it out. Looking at Lu Wu's terrified face, Bailey was surprised. Is it not delicious? Don't you have any self-awareness? Lu Wu was speechless. Pooh! 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 Lu Wu spat out all the remaining liquid in his mouth. Still feeling disgusted, Lu Wu jumped off the dining table and went to the drinking bowl that Bailey had prepared for him. That was close. He almost lost his life. Lu Wu still had a lingering fear. Looking at Lu Wu's series of reactions, the insensitive Bailey seemed to have realized something. She smiled awkwardly and picked up a piece of dark cuisine with her chopsticks. Puzzled, she put it into her mouth. Is it that difficult, Blarg? Seeing that Bailey was also standing by the sink, rinsing her mouth and vomiting, Lu Wu's face revealed a gloating expression. He was even secretly pleased. However, Lu Wu's smile soon froze. Bailey spat out another mouthful of water. She looked at Lu Wu with a pale but determined face. Wu, it was purely a mistake this time. I will definitely cook better next time. The bad news came so suddenly that the cat was caught off guard. Lu Wu, who was secretly feeling good, was instantly petrified. It seemed like the crisis of food poisoning had not left him. Lu Wu subconsciously covered his face and made a sad expression. In the end, Lu Wu still had to rely on the spirit rice to satisfy his hunger. However, the spirit rice was not enough. According to Bailey, one should not eat too much of this level 5 spiritual material. Otherwise, the spiritual energy in one's body would be too much to absorb, and it would cause harm to one's body. Therefore, while eating the spirit rice to cultivate, one must also do high-intensity exercise. After explaining to Lu Wu, Bailey took out a cat teaser stick from her shopping bag. Lu Wu was speechless. Come on, kill me. Just kill me. How can a human live like this? Lu Wu's face was filled with despair. It's fine if you want to transform into a kitten, but what the hell is this cat teaser stick? Is this considered exercise? You're challenging my dignity. After all, I'm the king of Bakey with hundreds of thousands of mercenaries under me. I don't care about my dignity. Suddenly, Bailey approached Lu Wu and carried him to the electronic scale in the living room. She pointed at the number on the scale and said, Look, aren't you getting fat? Look, aren't you getting fatter? Although the spirit rice isn't enough to fill you up, it's still very effective. It's making you fatter. Looking at the number, Lu Wu was expressionless. He would rather die of obesity than be teased by a cat teaser stick. Bailey even demonstrated a set of kitten-biting gymnastics, but Lu Wu remained expressionless. In the end, Bailey had no choice but to give up on the idea. After that, Lu Wu quietly found a corner and curled up in it. He began to doubt his life. Why do I have to cultivate? Is it not good to be alive? Days like this made him feel like a pet cat. After a while of grief, Lu Wu immersed his consciousness into the game to numb himself from the pain. Otherwise, he was afraid that he would run away from home. Recently, the deserted rock mountain had become much more lively. Wave after wave of players came to cut down trees. Moreover, they kept pushing in from the periphery. A large number of tree demons fell into the hands of the players and turned into spiritual materials for the ship maintenance. At this time, groups of players were going deeper into the periphery of the North Rock. Along the way, the players would greet each other cordially when they met. Hey, you're here to cut down trees too. What a coincidence. Brother, we meet again. You're here today too. Good luck. Brother, what level is your ship at? Oh, level 3. You'll have to work hard then. In the past few days, The player's crazy cutting had alarmed the Rock Ghost King, making him even angrier. From the Rock Ghost King's point of view, he had shown enough respect to this new force of Baki. Even when they occupied the mansion of the dead and Azure Glaze, he did not make any targeted move. However, he did not expect that these players would take the initiative to provoke him even though he did not pick a fight. They even formed a sinister encirclement and tried to take down his North Rocks by nibbling away at it bit by bit. The Rock Ghost King could no longer tolerate such behavior that challenged his bottom line. At this moment, he was ready to counterattack and let these new forces know whose territory the North Rocks belonged to. Chapter 95. The Rock Ghost King was finally infuriated after the players' frenzied attacks. He was ready to mobilize his army to suppress the players. Du Yen, who was under cover, quickly returned to the mansion of the dead before he was discovered and informed Lu Wu of the news. Lu Wu was not surprised by the Rock Ghost King's plan. Knowing what the players were doing, he guessed that it was a possibility. The Rock Ghost King was not like Cha Na, the Ghost General. Whether it was the strength of his subordinates or his personal ability, he was several times stronger than Cha Na. Therefore, Lu Wu did not plan to confront him head-on at this stage. Moreover, he did not believe that the Rock Ghost King would dare to attack the mansion of the dead. This was because the Rock Ghost King's vitality would be greatly damaged and his subordinates would suffer heavy losses. It would be disadvantageous to his position in Baki. He believed that the Rock Ghost King was aware of the pros and cons. Even if the Rock Ghost King really dared to come, Lu Wu would not be afraid. Lu Wu had the battle artifact. Even if the mansion of the dead fell, he could totally store all the important buildings into the channel. He would not even give the Rock Ghost King a chance to guard the corpses. At that time, he would just have to issue a maintenance announcement and all the players would go offline. Just as Lu Wu thought, the Rock Ghost King did not intend to start a full-scale war this time. Instead, he wanted to eliminate a group of players with a thunderous suppression to demonstrate the strength of the North Rocks and intimidate them. He did not want to take the risk because he did not know how deep the foundation of this new Baki force was. At this time, tens of thousands of players were still lingering on the outskirts of the North Rocks, looking for materials to maintain the ship. At this time, a shocking scene happened. The ground began to tremble and a layer of emerald green light shrouded from the depths of the dense forest. In the blink of an eye, the entire outskirts of the North Rocks were covered. Countless ordinary trees began to twist and transform, uprooting themselves from the ground. At the same time, countless tree demons gathered from all directions and attacked the players together with the enchanted trees. Faced with the attack of countless enchanted trees and tree demons, the players immediately launched a counterattack. However, this was just the beginning. In the depths of the dense forest, the ancient tree demons, iron zombies, and other powerful creatures also received the Rock Ghost King's order and began to move toward the outskirts of the North Rock. At this moment, there were only 30,000 players in the northern region. Facing such a massive attack, they were forced to retreat. However, the Rock Ghost King had no intention of letting these players go. With a cold snort, 5 gigantic ancient trees floated into the air beside him and smashed hard behind the players. They then took root in the ground and formed a barrier, blocking the players' way. The ancient tree demon did not budge in the face of the players' attempts to break out of its encirclement. It waved its arms made of branches, and every time it swatted away a large group of players. After checking the attribute panel of these ancient treants, the players discovered that each of these ancient treants were 10,000 years old, and their strength was close to that of a ghost general. In the face of such a strong suppression, the players had no way out. At this moment, a player shouted in the regional channel, "Since we can't escape, why don't we kill a few more treants and get some spiritual materials?" Hearing this, the players were stunned. Suddenly, they realized what they were afraid of. Since they were going to die anyway, it would be worth it if they could get any spiritual materials. Therefore, the players who were concentrating on attacking the ancient treants suddenly changed their direction and attacked the enchanted trees and treants in front of them. When the Rock Ghost King, who had been observing the situation of the battle, saw this scene, the smile on his face froze. The counterattack of the players was completely beyond his expectations. In order to figure out what was going on, the Rock Ghost King could no longer sit still. His body floated into the air. His huge body that was 100 meters tall landed heavily in the middle of the crowd of players who were preparing to fight back. Boom! When he landed, with the Rock Ghost King as the center, all the players within a few hundred meters were shaken to the ground by a huge shock wave. This appearance could be said to be domineering and oppressive. However, unlike what he had imagined, the players did not look horrified. Instead, they all turned around and looked at him with a face full of desire. There were even a few players who subconsciously wiped their saliva. Rock Ghost King. An ancient giant tree in the northern region of the rocks that has cultivated for 100,000 years. It has mastered the top-notch wood spells and the way of nature. Its cultivation has reached the middle stage of the Ghost King. After its death, it can be turned into a king-level spiritual material. Good lad, it turned out to be a legendary king-level medicinal material. Show your health bar, my big ship is already thirsty. Kill him for me. Just give me a handful of wood after killing him. I seem to see a manor, a yacht, a beautiful woman. Kill. Such a king tree, if my big ship eats it, it will become an aircraft carrier. It's not just an aircraft carrier, it might even evolve into a spaceship. The eyes of the players were bloodshot as they looked at the Rock Ghost King. Their hearts were full of desire. The players knew how precious king-level medicinal materials were. Even a bit of wood shavings would be a precious treasure. At this moment, all the players were blinded by their interests and attacked the Rock Ghost King. Facing the crazy siege of the players, the Rock Ghost King was as still as a mountain. Any attack that landed on his body was like a tickle and could not cause any substantial damage at all. However, the players' gazes made the Rock Ghost King feel very uncomfortable. Even his subordinates looked at him with fear and respect. Why were these creatures so excited as if they were on steroids? Don't they know who I am, the Rock Ghost King? Although he could not figure it out, the players' actions had completely infuriated the Rock Ghost King. With a twist of his body, the branches grew wildly. With him as the center, the area within a kilometer was covered by countless branches. A large number of players were rolled up by the branches and strangled in the air. At this moment, the Rock Ghost King demonstrated his powerful strength as the overlord of the North region. Even if the players launched attacks again and again, everything was in vain under the strong power of the realm level. 30,000 players were annihilated in a short while under the pincer attack from both inside and outside. However, after the battle ended, the Rock Ghost King was confused. Spell Master? Rune Warrior? He was very familiar with the abilities displayed by the players. These powers had obviously disappeared from the land of Baki for a long time. Why did they reappear now? The Rock Ghost King faintly felt that there was a conspiracy brewing in the land of Baki. Chapter 96. The video of the battle with the Rock Ghost King was quickly uploaded to the official forum after the battle, causing a heated discussion among the players. Although the power displayed by the Rock Ghost King was not as terrifying as that of the demonic god and Hidorigami, it still showed the players how powerful a Ghost King was. Faced with the siege of tens of thousands of players, the Rock Ghost King relied on his own ability to create a wood realm and strangled all the players. This made the players understand that the Rock Ghost King was almost invincible in this realm. He was not someone that could be killed by relying on numbers like Cha-Na. However, the players were not scared off after the battle. Under the temptation of spiritual materials, they once again formed small groups of players to search for the tree demons in the North Rock. However, this time, the Rock Ghost King was already prepared. He sent 3 ancient trees to stand on the periphery of the North Rock. All the players who went were killed by the ancient tree demons on the spot. They could not resist at all. Faced with such a situation, the players began to discuss new countermeasures in the forum. After all, cutting down trees was the only way for many civilian players to maintain their boat. Watermelon_Taro. Slam the table. I'm so angry that they won't let me cut down trees. I'm already poor and now they don't even give me the right to carry brick. When are we going to kill this rock ghost tree? I'm so angry. Crayon_Shinchan replied to Watermelon_Taro. Sit down, Xiao. How many times have I told you? We can't defeat the Rock Ghost King with our current strength. Strike_Soul. It's not a good time to start a war. Let's conserve our energy and continue to develop our strength. The Rock Ghost King will be finished sooner or later. Don't be hasty. It'll be terrible if he attacks us on a large scale like Cha Na. Leader of the Demolition Officers. I think I found a good place with a lot of high-level spiritual materials. However, I'm struggling to share them with everyone because I can't eat them all. Peppa_Boar replied to the leader of the Demolition Officers. What are you waiting for? Tell us now. Have you forgotten that the Bakey army is a family? Leader of the Demolition Officers replied to Peppa_Boar. You're from the Myth Guild, right? That's not what you said when you slashed me with a sword. Shueli_the_strongest. Have you guys forgotten? The Ghost Mountains can actually lead to the North Rock. As long as we don't go through the main entrance, it's not a problem for us to cut down a few trees secretly. Crayon_Shinchan replied to Shueli_the_strongest. Awesome, great idea. Is there anyone in the Night Tree Thief Squad? It would be best if there are assassins. Watermelon_Taro replied to Shueli_the_strongest. I've found a way to carry bricks again. Thank you, Missy. Moi, Assassin's Creed, selling a handful of wood shavings from the Rock Ghost King in the front row. The highest bidder gets it. Screenshot. A rock tree chip, level 5 spiritual material. Wood chips dropped from the Rock Ghost King. It still contains powerful wood spiritual power. Invincible_loneliness replied to Assassin_Creed. Bro, you're awesome. I want this item, but I'm curious how you got it. Assassin's Creed replied to Invincible_loneliness. It's a long story. It was a close call. I dodged thousands of whipping branches with a shadow step and approached the Rock Ghost King with my agile body movement. I aimed at the fatal spot of the Rock Ghost King with my dagger and followed it up with an earth-shattering slash. Only then did I manage to scrape off a handful of treasures. Oh yeah, I died after that, laughing emoji. Crayon_Shinchan replied to Assassin_Creed. Xiao, do you need me to play a song for you? Laughing emoji. Assassin_Creed replied to Crayon_Shinchan. As the strongest argumentative in this forum, you're the Xiao that everyone recognizes. Laughing emoji. A_Mammoth. Let's follow Shueli's suggestion and take a detour through the Ghost Mountains. The few ancient tree demons in front of us are about to become ghost generals. We can't defeat them without hundreds of thousands of people. Piss_against_wind. Actually, everyone can explore the sea and look for islands with resources. Didn't the demolition officers get the Son of the Sea? Aren't you envious? Ultraman_Tiga. Speaking of which, I'm still curious about the special ability that will be granted after swallowing the Son of the Sea. Are they hiding it so well? Why didn't they expose it? Monkey King_equal_heaven. The president of the demolition officers might be gathering his strength and preparing to amaze the world with a single brilliant feat, laughing emoji. After some discussion, the players finally found a way to steal the trees. Hence, groups of teams began to enter the Ghost Mountains and took a detour to the North Rocks from the Ghost Mountains, continuing their plan of carrying bricks and maintaining boat. Lu Wu did not stop them because Du Yen had come once and told him that the Rock Ghost King was now very afraid of this new force of Bakey. As he could not figure out the depth of the players' army, they did not dare to launch a large-scale attack at this stage. The fact that the players dared to continue to enter the North Rocks was already a message to the Rock Ghost King. That is, we are not afraid of you at all. This made the Rock Ghost King even more fearful. As for whether the players' actions would trigger a large-scale war, Lu Wu was already preparing for it. This war had to be fought sooner or later. After all, the Rock Ghost King had long been a fragrant steamed bun in the eyes of the players. Of course, the later the war started, the more advantageous it would be for the players. At the same time, Lu Wu released a new game mission into the game. Special Mission: Collection of Special Spiritual Materials. Mission Description: In the Void Ocean, there are many special islands. On these special islands, there are spiritual fields that can cultivate special spiritual materials. Players, please explore the ocean, find the special spiritual fields, and collect the special spiritual materials. Mission Reward: After all the special spiritual materials are sold in the shop, they can be exchanged for a high amount of soul coins. In this mission, Lu Wu did not mention the location of Insect Island. There were two reasons why he did not mention it. The first reason was that the Insect Island was discovered by the Demolition Guild. Since they did not plan to share it with the players, Lu Wu did not intend to make it public either. If he made the Insect Island public, it would undoubtedly displease the members of the Demolition Guild. Considering the big picture, this was also a privilege that an explorer should have. The second reason was that Xiao Tian was one of the 4 generals under the Sea King. His strength was close to the Ghost King realm. With the current scale of the players' power on the sea, it was still too early to fight him head-on. Of course, Lu Wu issued this mission for the sake of his own cultivation. At this stage, he still needed a large amount of spiritual rice to accelerate the growth of his body so that he could transform into a human again. This stage was undoubtedly very painful for Lu Wu. First of all, he did not have enough to eat every day. Normal food would be digested quickly after Lu Wu ate it, so it was not of much use. On the other hand, spiritual rice was linked to spiritual energy. Lu Wu would have indigestion if he ate too much, so he should not eat too much. This caused Lu Wu to feel hungry every day. As for the food made by Bailey, Lu Wu said that he would never eat it again after tasting it once. He was afraid that he would be poisoned to death before he could transform into a human. However, as the days passed, Lu Wu gradually felt the changes in his body. Although he was now in the form of a beast, his reflexes and body strength had obviously improved. His soul had also undergone a qualitative change during the cultivation. It could be said that the cultivation was very effective. At least Bailey could no longer defeat him. Chapter 97. The Void Ocean, Insect Island. A ferocious-looking giant werewolf with 2 fangs was pacing around the spiritual field. Xiao Tian trembled as he looked at the pits in the spiritual field. He couldn't believe that someone dared to steal his treasures right under his nose, and even dared to kill his child. Although the thieves were all killed, the most important son of the sea was missing. This filled Xiao Tian with rage. The son of the sea did not belong to him. He borrowed it from the Sea King. His purpose was to use the divine power of the Son of the Sea to nourish the spiritual fields on Insect Island to cultivate special spiritual materials. However, the most important Son of the Sea was lost. He did not know how to explain this to the Sea King. "Boss, we've searched the entire island, but we still can't find the Son of the Sea." An orc ran from afar and reported to Xiao Tian. Upon hearing this, Xiao Tian's eyes turned gloomy. He knew the temper of the Sea King. Although he was one of the 4 generals under the Sea King, he would definitely be beaten up by the Sea King for losing the Son of the Sea. Keep searching. Also, find out which race in the Void Ocean those thieves are from. If I find out who they are, I'll wipe out their entire clan. Xiao Tian was filled with rage and had nowhere to vent it. At this moment, another orc hurried over from afar. "Boss, there are a few big ships and a group of people alighted. They said that they are merchants who came from afar and they want to trade for something." "Sea merchants?" Xiao Tian was stunned. The Underworld Sea-Ocean Trading Association did exist in the Underworld Ocean. These trade associations were established by powerhouses like the Sea King or even those who were more powerful than him. They would often appear in various sea regions to purchase treasures and spiritual materials. Then, they would hold treasure auctions at specific times to sell these items to cultivators from other sea regions at a higher price. However, Xiao Tian did not understand why the sea merchants would come to his insect island. There should not be anything they needed here. "Let's go and have a look." Xiao Tian then walked toward the dock of Insect Island. At Insect Island's seaport, Lu Chai and the others were wearing white heavy armor and masks as they waited quietly for Xiao Tian's arrival. "Boss, do you think we'll be discovered?" a member whispered to Lu Chai. Upon hearing that, Lu Chai glared at him. "What's there to be afraid of? They definitely won't be able to recognize us with our current appearance. Let's fool them first and then find a way to get some spiritual materials back." The lackeys nodded their heads and waited quietly. Although the Demolition Guild had fought with the armed forces of Insect Island several times, Lu Chai and the rest had never exposed the existence of the battleship. Therefore, they were fully armed as a disguise. Soon, Xiao Tian's burly figure appeared not far away, and behind him, there were hundreds of strong beastmen, all the way aggressive. After coming closer, Xiao Tian glanced at the battleship, then looked at Lu Chai who was standing at the front. "Which chamber of commerce are you from? What is your objective?" Lu Chai, who had already thought of his lines, immediately said, "Demolition Guild, here to trade." Although he had never heard of the Sea Trading Association, Xiao Tian did not notice anything wrong with it. He nodded. "What do you want?" "I heard that Insect Island has derived spiritual rice. We happen to be in need of this spiritual material. Are you willing to sell it, Island Master Xiao Tian? You guys are well informed. Insect Island does have derived spiritual rice, but what are you going to trade for it?" Xiao Tian squinted his eyes. Xiao Tian knew a lot about the Sea Trading Association. He knew that if they were to buy his derived spiritual rice, the price would definitely increase by a few times. Therefore, he had the urge to make a fortune. Lu Chai, who was already prepared, waved his hand. Upon seeing that, a few of his subordinates quickly moved 2 boxes from the battleship and opened them in front of Xiao Tian. When the first box was opened, the fragrance of spiritual materials filled the air. The second box contained more than 10 pieces of purple-quality equipment. Upon seeing that, Xiao Tian took a few steps forward and stood up after checking the 2 boxes. The highest quality item in this box is only level 5 spiritual material. The quality of the equipment in this box is not bad. However, as a member of the Sea Trading Association, this item is too lousy. Cough cough, Lu Chai cursed in his heart. One had to know that he had paid a huge price to gather this batch of goods. However, it seemed like Xiao Tian was not interested in them at all. "Island Master Xiao Tian, since we have traveled a long way, we have traded most of our goods. Therefore, we are only left with these items. How many tufts of derived spiritual rice do you think they can be exchanged for?" Xiao Tian did not suspect anything. However, he felt that the items in front of him were not enough to pique his interest. However, since the other party had traveled a long way and was a member of the powerful Sea Trading Association, he had no choice but to give them face. Therefore, he thought about it and said, "How about this? I will give you 4 tufts of derived spiritual rice. Leave these items behind." Upon hearing that, Lu Chai's eyes flashed with joy. He quickly replied, "Thank you, Island Master. I will definitely bring good goods to trade with you next time." Upon hearing that, Xiao Tian nodded. He would treat it as forming a good relationship with the trading association in front of him. "Follow me." Lu Chai gestured to the back and followed Xiao Tian into the island. They followed Xiao Tian all the way through the inner island controlled by the orcs. After crossing a long bridge made of vines, Lu Chai and the others were surprised to find out that there were many spiritual fields on the inner island. What shocked them even more was that there was a son of the sea in each of the spiritual fields. Along the way, Lu Chai counted the spiritual fields. There were a total of 4 spiritual fields. Including the one on the outer island, there were 5 spiritual fields. These were all soul coins. Lu Chai could feel his heart trembling. At this moment, Lu Chai realized how lucky he was. The security on the inner island was obviously a few times stricter than the outer island. Lu Chai guessed that the main reason why he could steal the Son of the Sea was that the spiritual field on the outer island could not be moved. Another reason was that the Sea King Navy was the overlord of the Void Ocean. Since no one dared to invade them for a long time, the security was lax. They followed Xiao Tian all the way to the ring-shaped inner lake at the end. Xiao Tian stopped and said to his subordinates, "Go and pick 24 tufts of derived spiritual rice." After giving the order, Xiao Tian's eyes flashed with anticipation. "Honorable guest, I wonder if your trading association will accept a bounty mission to help me find someone." Chapter 98. Lu Chai was stunned when he heard Xiao Tian mention a bounty mission. In fact, his understanding of the Sea Trading Association came from a marine tribe during an island exploration. According to them, the Sea Trading Association was a huge alliance of trade associations. The members of the trade associations appeared in various seas, collecting spiritual materials and treasures. Moreover, every member of the trade associations had a special characteristic, which was that they would always have a specter ship. After knowing the characteristics of the members of the trade associations, Lu Chai came up with the idea of impersonating a trade association to cheat. However, he did not know anything about a bounty mission, so he was speechless. After thinking for a while, Lu Chai asked, "Lord Xiao Tian, what do you want to entrust me with? This matter is infuriating. To be honest, a treasure has been lost on Insect Island recently. I want to entrust the Demolition Chamber of Commerce to help me find out which clan the thief belongs to." From Xiao Tian's point of view, the Sea Trading Association was powerful and had eyes all over the sea. If they could accept this task, it would be easy to find the thief. After all, only by finding the Son of the Sea could he answer to the Sea King. Hearing Xiao Tian's explanation, Lu Chai pretended to be calm, but in fact, he was overjoyed. "Lord Xiao Tian, I wonder what kind of treasure has been lost that you want to entrust the Trade Association to investigate. Our bounty is not small." Xiao Tian's face turned gloomy. "The Son of the Sea." "What? It's the Son of the Sea. This thief is so daring to steal such a treasure," Lu Chai exclaimed. "That's right. Is your trade association willing to accept this bounty? As long as you can find out which clan the thief belongs to, I'll handle the rest myself. However, I'm confused. Since it's a treasure like the Son of the Sea, why didn't you send a large number of soldiers to guard it? I can understand if it was robbed, but I don't understand why it was stolen." When Lu Chai asked this question, he almost laughed out loud, but he held it in. Lu Chai's question made Xiao Tian's face turn pale. The Son of the Sea was such a precious treasure that he naturally sent a lot of soldiers to guard it. Moreover, it was the few strongest orcs under him who took turns to guard it. However, there had never been any mistakes in the past few years. This made the orcs who were guarding the Son of the Sea a lot less vigilant, which led to the current predicament. This spiritual field is in the outer circle of the island. I was negligent, but is your Demolition Chamber of Commerce willing to accept this commission? Xiao Tian didn't want to explain too much. He took a deep breath to calm himself down. "Then your commission fee 20 stalks of derived spiritual rice as a deposit. I'll give you another 30 stalks as long as we can find the clan behind this." Xiao Tian felt his heart ache when he mentioned the price. However, he knew the price of losing the Son of the Sea, and the members of the Sea Trade Association were a bunch of greedy fellows. If the price was too low, they would definitely not work hard. Hence, Xiao Tian gritted his teeth and said. Lu Chai was overjoyed when he heard Xiao Tian's offer. His original idea was to negotiate a good price with Xiao Tian as a sea merchant. When it was time to deliver the goods, he would find a chance to put all the things into the space and let Xiao Tian lose everything. As for the issue of safety, Lu Chai and the rest had already planned to use their lives to scam Xiao Tian. They had no intention of going back alive at all. However, compared to the 4 stalks of derived spiritual rice, Lu Chai wanted the 50 stalks more. Soon, the orc who went to get the spiritual materials returned and passed the bag containing the derived spiritual rice to Xiao Tian. Xiao Tian opened the bag and took a glance before passing it to Lu Chai. Are you willing to accept this commission? Here are 24 stalks of derived spiritual rice. 20 stalks are the deposit. I'll pay you another 30 stalks of derived spiritual rice after this is done. Alright. The Demolition Chamber of Commerce will definitely bring you the thief within 3 days, Lu Chai said confidently. Xiao Tian nodded. In fact, his trust in Lu Chai came from the giant specter warship that was docked at the dock. The most obvious feature that distinguished the strength of a member of the Sea Trade Association was their carrier. Ordinary members of the Sea Trade Association were using specter warships as carriers. The Spectre warship owned by Lu Chai was basically owned by the members of the Sea Trade Association, who were more influential. The cost of building such a Spectre warship was huge. It required a lot of resources, and the warship would be even more powerful after it was completed. Hence, Xiao Tian felt that a member of such a large Sea Trade Association would definitely not take 20 stalks of derived spiritual rice for himself. However, what he did not know was that in Bei Li's settings, these Spectre warships were like empty shells. They were not finished products at all. Instead, players would need to collect the materials and cultivate them bit by bit. However, Xiao Tian was not aware of this. Lu Chai was overjoyed as he took the derived spiritual rice from Xiao Tian. He then said in the guild live chat channel, "Brothers, let's trade the goods with them this time. If we don't sacrifice our children, we won't be able to catch the wolf. I'm going to scam Xiao Tian again." A few of his followers put down the 2 boxes upon hearing this. Xiao Tian's eyes flashed with excitement when he saw Lu Chai's promise. He knew that he still had a chance. With the help of the Sea Trade Association's powerful informants, he might be able to take back the Son of the Sea. After the trade was completed, Lu Chai and the rest calmly returned to the dock under the guidance of the orc guide. The spiritual fields and spiritual plants along the way made Lu Chai and the rest envious. They swore to themselves that they would destroy this place sooner or later. After boarding the warship and sailing a certain distance away, Lu Chai and the rest took off their masks and laughed heartily after making sure that Insect Island could not detect their movements. This Xiao Tian is really an idiot. 24 stalks of spiritual materials. We're rich. We're rich. Boss, why did you leave the 2 boxes behind? We spent a lot of money on those spiritual materials and equipment, one of his followers said with a pained expression. Idiot, I'm setting a trap for them. Didn't you hear him say that we can get the remaining 30 stalks of derived spiritual rice as long as we find the thief? Where are we going to find the thief? The follower was confused. Aren't you and I the thief that he's looking for? Lu Chai laughed heartily. He was already planning the next trade in his mind. Chapter 99. The next day. Void Ocean, Insect Island. A Spectre warship came from afar. After landing at the dock, Lu Chai explained the purpose of his visit to the orcs stationed at the dock. Xiao Tian immediately rushed to the dock after receiving the news. Xiao Tian was very excited as he looked at the familiar figures of Lu Chai and the others. He knew that the demolition traders would not visit again the next day if they did not find the thieves who stole the Son of the Sea. Did you find the thieves who stole the Son of the Sea? Xiao Tian asked excitedly as he looked at Lu Chai. Lu Chai nodded calmly. Not only did I find them, but I also brought them to the island owner." Lu Chai waved his hand and 3 players who were not wearing heavy armor were taken down from the warship. Xiao Tian was in disbelief as he looked at the players who were tied up. How could the thieves who stole the Son of the Sea be caught so easily? That was too easy. He thought that the demolition traders had news, but he did not expect them to even catch the thieves. "Boss, it should be them. They look very similar to the thieves who stole the Son of the Sea that day. They should be from the same race." An orc with a swollen face and many bloodstains on his body stood up and said. Xiao Tian looked at the tied-up players coldly when he heard his subordinate's words. "Tell me, are you the ones who stole the Son of the Sea?" Xiao Tian stepped forward and punched one of the players in the chest while he was asking the question. Xiao Tian did not use much strength in the punch, but the player spat out a mouthful of blood and wailed in pain. Lu Chai nodded secretly as he looked at his underlings who had turned off their sense of pain. These underlings were the smarter ones in the guild. They were picked by Lu Chai to fool Xiao Tian and cheat him of the remaining 30 spiritual materials. Xiao Tian grabbed the player's hair and lifted his head. "Tell me, are you the ones who stole the Son of the Sea?" The player was in pain. He then spat a mouthful of blood on Xiao Tian's face. "Yes, I am." "So what?" Xiao Tian's face turned ferocious when he heard the player admit it. He was about to interrogate him when he felt that something was wrong. After all, this player had admitted it too quickly. It was as if he had been waiting for the question. This made Xiao Tian's heart sink and he asked again, "I think there should be someone behind this, right? You should be the scapegoat. Tell me, who is the one who stole the Son of the Sea?" Upon hearing Xiao Tian's question, Lu Chai could not help but shout in the guild channel. "Yes, let him suspect you. It's best if he thinks that there's a big organization behind you. Give me a more realistic performance." The player laughed at Xiao Tian. "What are you talking about? It's us. We sneaked into the island from the seaside that day and hid beside the spiritual field for a few hours. When I saw your patrolling force changing shifts, I seized the opportunity to steal the Son of the Sea. My partner was killed by you because he stayed behind to cover us." "Oh, that's right. I also killed your son. His name is Dog Egg, right?" the player said mockingly. XXXX. Xiao Tian's anger was completely ignited, and he raised his hand and slapped the player's face badly mutilated. "It really is you. How dare you? Tell me where the Son of the Sea is now." Seeing that the player had angered Xiao Tian, Lu Chai could not help but shout in the guild live channel. "Good. Keep up the performance. You'll have a share of this batch of spiritual materials." When he heard this, the player who was slapped was overjoyed, but he still put on a weak expression. "The Son of the Sea? I'm sorry, it's already been sold by our boss. You want it? Go and find him yourself." The player's words infuriated Xiao Tian. If these players did not know the clues, he would have slapped them all to death. "So there's someone behind this. Tell me who your boss is and I'll let you go," Xiao Tian asked in another way while looking at the stubborn player. "I think you should worry about the other 4 Sons of the Sea on Insect Island first. You want to find our boss? Dream on." The player's words shocked Xiao Tian. He realized that the organization that stole the Son of the Sea seemed to be planning the next theft. What made him even more uneasy was that the kid had accurately said that there were 4 more Sons of the Sea on the island. A premeditated theft? A possibility came to Xiao Tian's mind. This speculation made Xiao Tian very angry. He did not know which organization was behind this that was targeting him. Thinking that this organization wanted to steal the other 4 Sons of the Sea, Xiao Tian was filled with uneasiness and vigilance. He could still explain to the Sea King that he had lost 1 Son of the Sea. Although he would be beaten up, at least he would not lose his life. However, if all 4 Sons of the Sea were lost, Xiao Tian knew that his only way out was to escape from the void ocean. Otherwise, the Sea King would never forgive him. At this moment, Xiao Tian was eager to know who was behind this premeditated theft. "Do you really think that I can't do anything to you? Insect Island has a lot of methods to extort confessions. If you don't want to suffer, I advise you to tell me, Xiao Tian asked again, unwilling to give up. However, the three players were still unwilling to submit even if they had to die. Faced with this situation, Xiao Tian waved his hand and signaled his subordinates to force the three players into the island. After the three players were taken away, Xiao Tian respectfully cupped his hands at Lu Chai. The strength of the Demolition Chamber of Commerce is indeed worthy of its reputation. Xiao Tian is impressed. However, are you willing to accept another commission? Upon hearing this, Lu Chai laughed in the guild live chat channel. Brothers, this fool really fell for it. He even said that the strength of the Demolition Chamber of Commerce is worthy of its reputation. It's as if he has heard of it before. Ha! The members of the guild could not help but laugh and praised him in the guild live chat channel. To be honest, Island Master, in order to catch these thieves, I have mobilized a large number of our Chamber of Commerce's informants. We found clues from the clues and personally went to capture them. Before Lu Chai could finish his sentence, Xiao Tian, who had already understood what he meant, interrupted him. 100 derived spiritual rice. As long as you find the person behind this, I, Xiao Tian, will not mistreat you. Xiao Tian's offer made the hearts of the Demolition Chamber of Commerce's members pound. Lu Chai nodded and pretended to be calm. Since Island Master is so sincere, the Demolition Chamber of Commerce will definitely give it a try. Upon hearing this, a smile appeared on Xiao Tian's face. He then took 30 derived spiritual rice from his subordinates and passed it to Lu Chai. Then, Xiao Tian will wait for the Demolition Chamber of Commerce's next visit. Chapter 100. Lu Chai was fully prepared in order to scam Xiao Tian again. As expected, Xiao Tian, who was worried that the other 4 sons of the sea on the island would be stolen, fell for the trap again and was eager to find the mastermind behind the theft. This time, Xiao Tian offered 100 stalks of derived spiritual rice as a reward. If it was converted into soul coins, it would be 50,000. Such a huge amount of money tempted Lu Chai. However, after discussing with the guild members, Lu Chai had a new idea. After some consideration, he typed Gu Yu's name into his friend list and chose to add him. After a while, a message that his friend request was accepted appeared in his list. Gu Yu, why did you add me as a friend all of a sudden? Are you going to accept my suggestion to merge the demolition office into our myth guild? Lu Chai, get lost. My guild is very strong now. It's only a matter of time before we defeat you. Don't be too proud. Gu Yu, so? Why did you add me? Laughing emoji, Lu Chai, there's a big deal. I can't take it all on my own. Gu Yu, what big deal? Do you want to sell me soul coins too? I can take it all. Laughing emoji, Lu Chai. Lu Chai, I found an island full of high-level spiritual materials. However, the garrison on the island is very strong. I want you to cooperate with me. We'll split the loot after the deal is done. Gu Yu, 50-50. Laughing emoji, Lu Chai. To tell you the truth, there are 4 sons of the sea on this island. It's up to you if you want to cooperate with me or not. You're not my only choice. Upon hearing that there were 4 sons of the sea, Gu Yu lost his composure. Agreed. Agreed. Where are you now? I'll come to you and we'll talk face to face. After knowing Lu Chai's location, Gu Yu hurried to the Liuli coast with a few guild members. The Son of the Sea was an epic-level treasure. It was something that could only be found by chance. Even Gu Yu was moved. He did not want to let go of this opportunity. After meeting Gu Yu, Lu Chai told him about Insect Island, how he got the Son of the Sea, and how he tricked Xiao Tian. Lu Chai's actions on Insect Island had shocked Gu Yu to the point of being dumbfounded. At the same time, he was a little excited. He did not expect that there would be such a treasure land. He finally understood how Lu Chai got his title as the Son of the Sea. Then how do you intend to cooperate? Lu Chai nodded. My idea is very simple. When the time comes, all of you will play the role of the mastermind behind the theft of the Son of the Sea. Then, I will inform Shao Tian of your coordinates, and let him lead the army to surround you. Then, the Demolition Guild and the other reinforcements that I have invited will be the main force to attack Insect Island and plunder the spiritual fields while the defense is at its weakest. Guyu thought about it and felt that it was indeed feasible. However, there was one thing that puzzled him. But after listening to what you just said about the strength of Shao Tian's army, I feel that even the orcs left to defend will be very strong. With the strength of your demolition union, it should be very difficult to break into the inner island. At this moment, a few figures appeared not far away. Who said you're the only one invited? Wu Guori, who was carrying a giant sword on his shoulder, slowly walked over with steady steps. Son of the Sea, I like it very much. I'll reserve one. Yi Shuer walked over slowly with hundreds of her subordinates. Everyone who sees it has a share, I want one too. Chen Ziyu's voice came from the other side. Why did you call so many people? Guyu looked at Lu Chai with a gloomy expression. Insect Island's defense is just as you said, it's extremely strong. Therefore, to be on the safe side, we must unite today. Once we conquer Insect Island, each of our 5 guilds will take 2 floors. As for the Son of the Sea, since there are only 4 of them, the Demolition Union must take 1. The remaining 3 will be decided by the 4 guilds by drawing lots. You already have one, can't you be more modest? Sun Qi, who was squatting beside Guyu, could not help but interrupt. Lu Chai spread out his hands and said, as the initiator, it's only natural that I'll be given preferential treatment. You guys can decide if you're willing or not. Upon hearing this, the other 4 fell into silence. However, at this stage, the position of Insect Island was still in Lu Chai's hands. It could be said that the initiative was on his side. Regarding this proposal, the few of them agreed to it after much consideration. Then, the 5 of them discussed on the beach how to carry out this operation. After an hour of debate, in the end, the most powerful guild, the Myth Guild, would be the bait while the other guilds would launch a fierce attack on Insect Island after Shao Tian led his army out of the island. After finalizing the plan, the 5 guilds began to gather people in the guild live chat channel, gathering all the players who were scattered in various areas. In order to ensure the efficiency of this cooperation, the 5 guilds connected to the same channel to facilitate communication and ensure that there would be no accidents in this plan. After the preparations were complete, Lu Chai led his subordinates to board the demolition ship and sailed to Insect Island. At the same time, the Revenge ship, Angel ship, and Great Dragon ship followed from afar. Meanwhile, the members of the Myth Guild went straight to the deserted Fallen Fish Island, planning to station there and prepare to welcome the arrival of Shao Tian's army. The 5 guilds, with a huge combat power of nearly 5,000 people, began their first strategic cooperation. Once again, they boarded Insect Island. This time, the orcs who were familiar with Lu Chai no longer guarded against him. Instead, they went straight to report to Shao Tian. Meanwhile, Shao Tian quickly arrived at the dock. Is there any news? Shao Tian asked expectantly. Lu Chai pretended to be calm and nodded. Congratulations, Island Master Shao Tian. The force behind this has been found. However, this force has tens of thousands of people, so this time, I did not help you capture the mastermind. Lu Chai purposely said that the number of people stationed in the Myth Guild was 10 times more. His purpose was naturally to let Shao Tian lead more forces in the inner island. Great! Shao Tian excitedly took 2 steps forward and patted Lu Chai's shoulder. Where's the mastermind? I'll capture him myself. It's just tens of thousands of people. Even if it's hundreds of thousands, we, the Sea King Navy, still have the final say in the Void Ocean. Shao Tian was very excited when he heard that he had found the mastermind. He was not afraid of how powerful the enemy was. The most troublesome problem was that he could not find the mastermind. This group of forces should have come from the outer sea region. At this time, they are stationed on Fallen Fish Island. If Island Master wants to capture the people behind the scenes, you should do so as soon as possible. Because while I was tracking them, they seemed to have noticed me, so they could move at any time. Xiao Tian nodded. All right, I'd like to thank the demolition traders for their help. Wait for me here. I'll give you the 100 derived spiritual rice after I've captured the mastermind. Lu Chai calmly nodded. By the way, Island Master, I have to remind you that this force is very mysterious. Their strength is also unfathomable. You'd better be careful. Upon hearing this, Xiao Tian's expression froze. I've noticed this too. I've tried everything I could to force the 3 thieves that you brought to me, but I couldn't get any useful information out of them. What surprised me even more was that I didn't know what kind of race these creatures belonged to. They turned into black fog and dissipated after they died. Not even their souls were left behind. It's unbelievable. Lu Chai nodded. In order to ensure that you can capture the thieves, do you need me to lend you some more troops? Lu Chai naturally did not mean to lend him troop. He was just trying to provoke Xiao Tian by hinting that the mastermind behind Fallen Fish Island was very powerful. However, Xiao Tian was still very confident. In the Void Ocean, the Sea King Navy is really not afraid of these foreign forces. Even if it's a dragon, it'll still have to stay put. I can handle it. Men, mobilize the orc army and follow me to the sea to capture the mastermind. Chapter 101. They had their reasons for choosing Fallen Fish Island. Among the islands that the players had explored, Fallen Fish Island was the furthest away from Insect Island. Moreover, Fallen Fish Island was not guarded by any forces. It was a good place for Gu Yu and the others to be prepared without worrying about being chased away by other sea tribes. All assassins, spread out to both sides and use Shadow Step to find an opportunity to assassinate. However, they encountered 300 orcs patrolling the area. Soon, nearly 10,000 heavily armored orcs lined up from the inner island and assembled in front of the dock. The members of the 4 major guilds raised their weapons and responded. After making sure that Xiao Tian's army had disappeared from sight, Lu Chai quickly shouted in the public live chat channel. After conveying the message to the other 4 guilds, Lu Chai faced the orcs who were still on guard at the dock and smiled. The orc quickly turned around and left. Then, the leader of the orc patrolling army turned to face the players and raised his battle axe. In a short while, more than 1,000 sea beasts gathered in the sea in front of the dock. It was a spectacular scene. As Lu Chai's voice trailed off, the 2 warriors behind him stepped forward at the same time, raised their battle axes and slashed at the orc's head. You're familiar with the inner island. We'll listen to your command this time. Wu Gui looked at Lu Chai and said. The blue water droplet began to melt upon contact with water. Ripples and bubbles appeared on the surface of the sea. Gather quickly. We don't have much time. Let's see how long Brother Gu Yu can resist. Seeing that the reinforcements had arrived, Lu Chai took off his white armor and changed into his own purple armor. After killing the orc, Lu Chai waved his hand and signaled the members on the warship to disembark. Gu Yu, pay attention. Xiao Tian is here. Hold them off for a while. The other 3 guilds get ready to disembark. At the back of the players' army, water cannon turrets gradually formed and bombarded the orc patrolling army with densely packed water cannons. The 2 waves of power collided with each other. Are you sure? Soon, 3 guild warships appeared in sight and quickly headed toward the dock. At this moment, the melodious sound of a horn came from the inner island. Following Lu Chai's roar, the assassin players in the middle of the team dispersed and turned into phantoms, attacking the orc patrolling army from both sides. That's a pity. Kill. The attack was too sudden, and the beastman had no time to react. Fortunately, he had the protection of his helmet, but he was still dizzy from the huge force. After everything was ready, Xiao Tian waved his hand and the huge sea beast army set off in the direction of the Fallen Fish Island. Originally, There were also troops stationed on the Vine Bridge in front of the inner island. However, the deployment this time had obviously transferred these troops away. This made Lu Chai feel more confident. As they approached the dock, Wu Gui and the rest quickly walked down the stairs and came to Lu Chai's side. The orcs were shocked to see the player army. After all, the island hadn't been invaded in many years, so the sudden appearance of so many invaders stunned them. Xiao Tian's action of mobilizing a large number of garrisons in the inner island was exactly what Lu Chai wanted to see. The front lines on both sides were filled with heavy armors and heavy weapons. In the battle, the muscles of the warriors on both sides expanded and contracted with every swing of their arms. Sparks flew when their weapons collided. The intensity of a head-on battle was fully displayed. The leader of the orc patrolling army immediately reached out and grabbed an orc beside him. "Go and sound the alarm, quick!" The guild members who participated in the sneak attack knew what was on the island. They also had a share of the resources, so they were in high spirits at the moment. The orc was obviously stunned when he heard this. He quickly shook his head and said, "Without the order of the island master, no one is allowed to enter the inner island." Under Lu Chai's lead, the guild coalition crossed the Vine Bridge and went straight to the inner island. Of course, this is the rule set by the island master. How can it be changed? Due to the urgency of this battle, they knew that Gu Yu's strength would not be able to hold on for long. Therefore, Lu Chai and the rest were extremely anxious and naturally did not hold back. "Brother, can you invite us into the inner island for a seat?" Seeing this, the other orcs began to climb on the back of the sea beast. Along with a flash of cold light, the assassin players would always strike at the critical moment to kill the injured orc. Hearing this, Wu Gui and the rest who were hiding in the waters near the island immediately summoned their warship and sailed toward Insect Island. "Do!" Just as he was about to shout, he saw Lu Chai take a step forward. Red light flashed on his body as he pushed his strength to the maximum. He punched the orc's face hard. Only by combining the strength of the four guilds and going all out in one go would they have the strength to fight. The guild members here were the top among the players. At this moment, every player displayed their skills as a top player. For a moment, hundreds of orcs were killed and retreated. Their numbers kept decreasing. "Let's go. Don't let the thieves get away." Xiao Tian leaped and landed on the back of a huge sea beast that looked like a whale. After entering the inner island, the players went straight to the first spiritual field under Lu Chai's lead. After the guild members had assembled, Lu Chai did not directly attack the inner island. Instead, he waited. After waiting for a while, many huge black shadows appeared on the surface of the sea. One after another, huge sea beasts leaped out of the sea, and their numbers were increasing. The punch was so powerful that it dented the orc's face and killed it instantly. Although the guilds often fought, they knew each other well. Lu Chai was a hot-tempered person, but as the leader of the guild, everyone admired his personal ability. "Kill!" Lu Chai immediately shouted. Then, thousands of players roared and charged toward the orc patrolling troop. Although Liuli Coast was further away from Insect Island, they naturally would not lead the disaster to other players. Hence, Fallen Fish Island was their best choice. Even so, the distance between the two islands was only about 2 hours. Hence, they were pressed for time. Although most of the defensive forces on the inner island had been transferred, the remaining orcs were still extremely powerful. However, the strength of their guild was definitely not a match for them. The berserkers and rune masters at the front row rushed forward and collided with the orcs, engaging in close combat. "My friends from the demolition traders, wait here. I'll come back immediately after capturing the culprit." Xiao Tian took out a blue water droplet from his armor and threw it into the sea. Lu Chai nodded and raised his fist. "Brothers, glory, splendor, wealth, and rank are at hand. Let's kill. How dare you offend the Sea King Navy? Kill." Chapter 102. As the warning horn sounded, the orcs guarding the inner island were all alerted. Knowing that the orc army was coming, Lu Chai shouted in the live chat channel again, "Kill these orcs first and prepare to fight the army." Upon hearing this, the players' attacks became more aggressive. Some of the players even seized the opportunity to hug the orcs, trading lives for lives to create opportunities for their teammates to kill them. After all, trading lives for lives was definitely a good deal for the players. Under such a crazy attack, the hundreds of orcs were soon left with only a few dozen people. The remaining orcs knew that they could not win and were ready to escape. However, all the assassin players quickly closed in and launched a collective attack. After a wave of fierce attacks, the orc patrol team was completely annihilated. "Quick, the first spiritual field, take it all!" Lu Chai pointed at the direction of the spiritual field and shouted. After slightly adjusting their formation, the players immediately headed toward the spiritual field. After running for about 5 minutes, a spiritual field with a faint golden spiritual mist appeared in front of the players. Meanwhile, the several dozen orcs stationed around the spirit field stared at the player army in horror. "Kill!" Accompanied by a deafening battle cry, the players charged again. At this time, the leader of the orcs quickly took out an item from his pocket and pulled it hard. Suddenly, a cloud of thick green mist floated into the air. "He is sending a signal. Everyone, pay attention. Warriors, block the attack. Assassins, sorcerers, collect the spiritual materials. Collect everything first." Upon hearing Lu Chai's order, the berserkers tensed up and directly crashed into the dozens of orcs. Wave after wave of impact, the dozens of orcs were directly pushed out of the spiritual field. The players at the back were ecstatic. They quickly began to collect the spiritual materials and stored them into the space. At the same time, the Son of the Sea in the middle of the spiritual field was directly uprooted by the players and stuffed into the space. The first spiritual field was easily swept by the players. The dozens of orcs were surrounded and killed after collecting the spiritual materials. Just as Lu Chai led the players to the second spiritual field, they encountered an army of more than 1,000 orcs who had gathered after seeing the signal flare. Seeing this scene, Lu Chai and the others tensed up. "Prepare for battle." Following Lu Chai's roar, the players waited solemnly. The orc leader who had already noticed the players swung his wolf fang mace forward. The muscles on his body expanded and he roared. Another great battle broke out. The players no longer had an advantage in this battle. Although they outnumbered the orcs, the strength of a single orc was equivalent to that of several players. Especially this orc leader, its ability was much stronger than the Ghost Supreme Commander that the players had killed previously. Seeing this scene, Lu Chai's expression froze. Currently, the players only had a slight advantage in the battle against the orcs. It was not a solution to be dragged on like this. By the time Xiao Tian returned with his army, everything would be too late. Send a team of assassins from each guild. Activate Shadow Step and head to the other spirit fields to steal spiritual materials. I've sent the coordinates to the channel. Hurry! When Wu Guoyi and the others heard this, they quickly dispatched a group of assassins through the guild voice chat and ordered them to steal the spiritual materials according to the coordinates on the map. After Lu Chai's order was given, 4 groups of figures flashed out from the players' camp and headed toward the designated coordinate. Stop them! When the orc chieftain saw the players dispersing, it immediately realized what they were trying to do and hurriedly shouted to the rear. Immediately, the orc army split into 4 groups and chased after the fleeing assassin players. Of course, Lu Wu noticed the players' actions and was observing them in real time. This battle was also very important to Lu Wu. According to Bailey, as long as they won this battle, the derived spiritual rice obtained by the players would be enough to help him transform into a human again and learn his first ability, the power of the Dark Beast. Moreover, Lu Wu realized that Gu Yu and the others who were stationed at Fallen Fish Island had started a direct confrontation with Xiao Tian. The battle on Fallen Fish Island was different from this one. It was completely one-sided. Even if Gu Yu had the inheritance of the demonic god, It was still not enough in front of Xiao Tian, who had reached the level of a ghost general. The battle only lasted for less than 30 minutes before it ended quickly. All the players of the Myth Guild were annihilated and Gu Yu and the others who were the leaders were captured alive. At the same time, on the coast of Fallen Fish Island, Xiao Tian looked at Gu Yu, who was captured alive, and asked with a ferocious expression, "Where is the Son of the Sea now?" Gu Yu did not answer. Instead, he lowered his pain level to buy some time. However, to Gu Yu's surprise, Xiao Tian, who was about to interrogate him, suddenly changed his expression. Just now, the communication gem on his body suddenly flashed a red danger signal. This immediately made Xiao Tian realize that the inner island was under attack. Thinking of the encounter in the battle, he recalled why the forces behind the scenes were so weak. Moreover, their numbers did not reach the tens of thousands as mentioned by the demolition traders. Everything seemed very unreasonable. Then, Xiao Tian immediately turned around and roared at the back. "Everyone, get on the sea monsters! Hurry back to Insect Island, we've fallen into a trap!" Xiao Tian's reaction made Gu Yu's expression change. He had no idea how Xiao Tian knew that Insect Island was under attack. If he let Xiao Tian rush back now, this plan would most likely fail. He immediately said, "Xiao Tian, don't you want to know where the Son of the Sea is? I'll tell you." However, to Gu Yu's surprise, Xiao Tian suddenly turned around with a ferocious expression and gave him a hard slap on his head, killing him on the spot. Then, Xiao Tian looked at the other players and waved his claws. Streaks of black light streaked across, killing all the players that Xiao Tian was about to torture, leaving only Sun Qi alive. However, Sun Qi was not killed. Instead, he was grabbed by Xiao Tian and jumped on the back of the sea beast, heading towards Insect Island quickly. In the direction of Insect Island, the two sides were in a stalemate. Neither side had an absolute advantage. This gave Lu Chai a headache. He quickly divided a part of his forces to support the team of players who were going to plunder spiritual materials. Although the pressure of a head-on battle had increased, their goal was to plunder spiritual materials. If they could not get the spiritual materials, it would be their failure even if they won the head-on battle. At the same time, the assassin players who were sent out earlier began to report the plundering information in the live chat channel. 3 of the groups of players were intercepted by the orcs who were guarding the spiritual fields. One of them succeeded in stealing a special spiritual material from one of the spiritual fields. However, the orcs who knew that they were no match for the orcs decided to surround the Son of the Sea. They were now breaking through the defense line, and the Son of the Sea had yet to succeed. According to the feedback from the players who were sent out, Lu Chai would send people from the players who were fighting head-on to support them from time to time. The pressure on the front line was getting stronger. At this moment, countless sea monsters appeared on the coastline of Insect Island. Xiao Tian's eyes flashed with anger when he saw the island. He leaped from the back of the sea monster and galloped on the waves towards the dock of Insect Island. Chapter 103. On Insect Island, Lu Chai, who was fighting with the orc army, was still dispatching his men. Suddenly, his expression changed. This was because Sun Qi had informed him in the live chat channel that Xiao Tian had arrived on Insect Island and discovered their actions. Lu Chai was annoyed. He had underestimated the strength of the garrison on Insect Island. However, it was too late now. He immediately shouted in the live chat channel, "Everyone, scatter and loot the spiritual materials according to the coordinates. Take as many as you can. Xiao Tian is back." Upon hearing Lu Chai's order, Wu Guoyi and the others quickly ordered their men to scatter. The orcs broke through the players' battle line in an instant. Many of the berserkers at the front fell, while the orcs went straight for the sorcerers at the back and started a massacre. However, the players no longer had the intention to continue fighting. After each of them chose a direction, they scattered and rushed toward the spiritual fields. Howl! At this moment, a loud wolf howl was heard above the island. Then, a huge blue wolf shadow swept past quickly. All the players who came into contact with the wolf's shadow were covered in blue flames, and their bodies quickly melted. As the blue wolf shadow continued to move, the number of players decreased rapidly. This increased the pressure on the players, and they were completely in a desperate situation. "The boss is back. Kill them!" The orc leader immediately roared, and the entire orc camp's morale rose. At this point, the battle was nearing its end. Lu Chai and the others were scattered around the spiritual fields, still carrying out the final plundering. At this stage, it was a profit to take one more spiritual plant. Therefore, the players completely gave up on fighting and rushed toward the spiritual field. "Howl!" Xiao Tian roared again. 3 blue wolf shadows came out of his body and rushed toward the remaining 3 spiritual fields while he stood guard at the end of the vine bridge. At this moment, Xiao Tian was furious. He did not expect himself to be tricked. The demolition chamber of commerce and the person behind the scenes were all lies. The real person behind the scenes was the so-called demolition chamber of commerce. Recalling that Lu Chai once said that the person behind the scenes was actually still thinking about the other 4 sons of the sea in the inner island, Xiao Tian felt like vomiting blood. After a while, the orcs who went out also returned together and carried out a big purge on the remaining players. This time, the players no longer had the ability to resist. One by one, they were killed and turned into a black fog as they logged out of the game. Xiao Tian, who returned to the inner island again, looked at the ruined spirit fields, and his heart was bleeding. However, what made him even more desperate was yet to come. All the orcs searched the entire inner island, and were horrified to find that the spiritual materials and the Son of the Sea that were looted by the invaders had mysteriously disappeared once again. Before, Xiao Tian controlled the Shadow Wolf and stationed himself on the Vine Bridge because he was afraid that someone would escape and take away the spiritual materials. He didn't expect that even if a player didn't slip away, these spiritual materials still disappeared. This made Xiao Tian's face pale. He knew he was finished. The Sea King would never let him off. After contemplating for a while, Xiao Tian looked down at Sun Qi, who was caught in his hand, and his face looked slightly better. This white phantom was a spiritual beast of the world. Consuming it could increase one's cultivation, and its value was not lower than a son of the sea. He could only hope that offering this white phantom would earn the Sea King's forgiveness. Sun Qi, who was caught in Xiao Tian's hand, looked very depressed when he saw that all the other players were killed and he was still alive. He couldn't help but stretch out his little foot and kick Xiao Tian's waist. "When are you going to kill me?" Xiao Tian was stunned when he heard Sun Qi. "Are you talking? We're all dogs, please let me go." Sun Qi looked at Xiao Tian and said expectantly, "Dog? I'm a sea wolf demon, and you're a white phantom, not a dog." However, Xiao Tian's expression immediately froze. "You can talk? Are you a mutant?" Sun Qi was stunned, and his face showed a constipated expression. It was sad enough that he became a dog, and now he was a mutant. If it wasn't for the fact that he couldn't defeat Xiao Tian, he really wanted to fight him for 300 rounds. "Do you know where the spiritual materials are hidden by those creatures?" "I'll let you go as long as you tell me," Xiao Tian suddenly asked. Hearing this, Sun Qi spread out his hands. "Then just kill me." Originally, Xiao Tian was going to offer Sun Qi to the Sea King. However, after confirming that Sun Qi could really talk, he suddenly wanted to extort a confession from him to see if he could get some useful information. Maybe there was a chance to get the Son of the Sea back. However, at this moment, an orc hurriedly came to report. "Boss, there's a big ship at the dock. They said that it's a member of the Sea Trade Association, and they even brought the token of the Sea King." Hearing this, Xiao Tian's anger rose again. He let out a long roar, and his body floated in the air, sweeping towards the dock. At the dock, a green-skinned, fat man was waiting with his eyes squinted. At this moment, Xiao Tian's figure suddenly fell from the sky and hit the ground, causing him to tremble in fear. However, after seeing that it was Xiao Tian, the man heaved a sigh of relief and took out the token of the Sea King, the grass of emptiness. Lord Xiao Tian, I'm Cuttlefish from the West Continent Trade Association. With the Sea King's approval, I'm here to retrieve the Son of the Sea. Looking at the grass of emptiness, Xiao Tian's eyes widened. Good lad, you even managed to get the Sea King's void grass. You won't stop until you've taken all the sons of the sea on Insect Island. Cuttlefish was stunned. How can the grass of emptiness be fake? Moreover, the West Continent Trade Association had to pay a huge price to exchange for the Son of the Sea from the Sea King. However, the Sea King told me that the Son of the Sea is with you. As long as I show you the token, you'll give it to me. Hearing this, Xiao Tian's eyes were filled with anger. He reached out and grabbed Cuttlefish's neck, slowly lifting him up. Previously, it was the demolition merchant, and now it's the West Continent Trade Association. You're really capable, coming up with a series of scams. You really want to kill me, but this time, as he spoke, the muscles on Xiao Tian's right hand swelled, and with a crack, Cuttlefish's neck was broken. Before he died, Cuttlefish still had a look of disbelief on his face. He did not know what was going on. He came according to the Sea King's order, and even brought the token, but while looking at the other accompanying merchants who began to board the ship and escape, Xiao Tian let out a long roar. A huge blue wolf shadow appeared above his head, and with a wave of its sharp claws, the entire spectre ship was cut in half. Xiao Tian said coldly to the merchants who fell into the water, "Kill them all, leave no one alive." Chapter 104. After the battle on Insect Island, according to Lu Wu's statistics, the players had plundered a total of 428 derived spiritual rice and 1 son of the sea. Lu Wu was surprised by the bountiful harvest. Even Lu Wu, the mastermind behind the scenes, did not know whether to laugh or cry at the players' outrageous actions. It confirmed his belief that the potential of the players who developed freely was truly limitless. There were surprises happening all the time. However, after the battle, Lu Wu had spent more than 200,000 soul coins to purchase special spiritual materials, which made his heart ache. Of course, the guild master did not keep all the soul coins to himself. All the participants had received the rewards they deserved, giving the players who participated in the raid on Insect Island a bountiful harvest. It could be said that after the battle, the strength of the 5 guilds had once again skyrocketed. As for the only Son of the Sea that they obtained, the members of the Great Dragon Guild handed it over to Chernziu after they went online. Chernziu fulfilled his promise and gave the only Son of the Sea to Lu Chai. The battle of the raid on Insect Island was quickly spread by word of mouth among the players. While everyone was envious, many of them had their eyes on Lu Chai. Especially Gu Yu, who offered a high price to buy the Son of the Sea from Lu Chai. However, Lu Chai firmly rejected all the buyers, stating that he planned to consume the Son of the Sea himself to strengthen his talent. This made many players who desired the Son of the Sea sigh in unison, thinking that Lu Chai's behavior was a waste of a treasure. However, Lu Chai was not a person who lacked money, so he did not care. It was also because of this battle that the players yearned for the islands in the sea even more. The professional players in the forum immediately took action and formed a small group called the Sea Walkers, which specialized in exploring the sea. Then, they made maps of the explored areas and posted them on the forum for other players to view. Lu Wu was very impressed by the technical posts of these professional players. In order to support these professional players, Lu Wu added a new function to the forum: Post Reward. In other words, as long as the players approved of the technical posts, they could use this function to reward the original poster. Lu Wu's action was naturally to stimulate the creativity of the players, so that the entire force of the players could develop faster. However, Lu Wu posted on the official website to ask for suggestions from the players on whether the reward should be in R coins or soul coins. However, the players' response was very uniform. All of them replied in soul coins. Every player's thirst for soul coins was terrifying. There was even a player who posted an analysis of the value of soul coins on the forum that put Lu Wu to shame. Calculating the value of soul coins according to the data, I came to a terrifying conclusion. Original poster: Poverty makes me trash. First of all, this isn't a technical post. I'm just trying to educate everyone about the horrifying fact that Battle Online doesn't have an official top-up channel for soul coins. Next, I will analyze the R coins that we have now and use them as a comparison target for soul coins. According to the data chart, the inflation rate in Chi Dragon is 2.9% every year. According to this trend, 5 million, for example, will be equivalent to 3.75 million in 10 years. However, in terms of the real price of goods, the real price of goods in Chi Dragon this year was 5.4 times higher than at the end of 1996, which meant an annual increase of around 8%. Therefore, if the real price increase was used to calculate, then 5 million yuan in 10 years would be equivalent to 2.31 million yuan today. However, knock on the blackboard, if we calculate at the speed of our country's printing of money, the annual growth rate would be about 16.3%. In that case, in 2329, which is 10 years later, 5 million yuan would only be equivalent to 1 million yuan today. After the calculation, the OP took a deep breath and couldn't help but sigh in horror. A few million yuan evaporated just like that. The OP wanted to cry. Sigh, no, I'm a poor guy. How could I have 5 million yuan? That was close, I almost lost a lot. Then, let's analyze our soul coins. Since soul coins have only been around for a few months, the amount of calculation was not huge. However, there was one thing that everyone was clear about. The price of soul coins had been rising continuously. Although this was closely related to the demand of the rich players, knock on the blackboard, if you think that it was the rich players who caused the increase in soul coins, then you are gravely mistaken. Let me ask you one thing. Has anyone ever thought of spending money on games? The OP's monthly salary was 85,000 yuan, which was considered low in the country. However, I still wanted to spend money on games all the time. My friends who play games with me did spend money on soul coins. Therefore, the rise in soul coins caused by the rich players was only one of the reasons. The more important reason was the large number of players who spent money on games. Back to the topic at hand, about the increase in the price of soul coins. Since the OP only started playing 10 days after the server was launched, I'm not sure about the price at that time. However, I did check the information. The price of soul coins in the server was first purchased by a player named Yi Shuer is the cutest. The initial price was 300 soul coins. However, in just 10 days, the price of soul coins skyrocketed to 800, an increase of more than 2.6 times. However, this was not the end. Although the price of soul coins did not increase as fast as before, it was approaching the 1,000 yuan mark. What did this mean? It meant that even if you did not use the soul coins, your assets would still rise at a level that far exceeded the price increase. Of course, the premise of the OP's analysis was that the game would continue to run. Another thing to mention, this lousy game is fun. As long as Battle Company dares to run it, I dare to keep playing. Finally, I attached the OP's prediction. 10 years as proof. Based on the original poster's prediction of this game will definitely become popular all over the world. If that day really comes, high energy ahead, if that day really comes, there will be a universal currency that is very safe and stable in value. This currency can be exchanged with money from any country. Are you shocked? Note that the OP is talking about universal currency. That is soul coins. As soon as the player's analysis post appeared, it caused a heated discussion among the players. Crayon_Shinchan. I wanted to argue with the OP, but I suddenly realized that I didn't study enough. Let's just say 666. Watermelon_Taro. My salary is 38,000 yuan. I'm almost at the bottom of the poverty line, but I've actually spent money several times. I agree with what the OP said. Popeye_sailor. To be honest, I also have the same idea, but I feel that it's very absurd. Anyway, I'll leave a mark and dig out the post 10 years later. Surely_the_strongest. The premise is that the game becomes popular all over the world, but I support the OP's speculation. Let's stock up on soul coins and wait for the value to rise. I'm not Bailey. Leave a mark, let's wait and see. Staff_maker. You've convinced me, OP. Please leave me an address. I'm ready to make a big wave. If I lose all my money, I'll come to you. The OP replied to staff_maker. Then if I make a profit, will I get a bonus? Sparkling eyes. Chapter 105. However, since the Soul Coin exchange was online, Lu Wu followed the old rules and added a service fee. Although there were many guaranteed trading platforms at this stage, due to the complexity of the procedures and the need to wait, many players would choose to trade directly for convenience. However, if the poverty makes me trash player was right and soul coins became the universal currency, Lu Wu was horrified at the thought of how huge the daily trading volume would be. Crayon Shinchan replied to Baiwa Hierarch, Baiwa Xiao Er, sit down. Lu Wu quickly shared his thoughts with Bailey. This undoubtedly saved the players a lot of time. It could be said that the appearance of this function benefited both the players and Lu Wu. In other words, if two players wanted to buy and sell soul coins, the buyer and seller of soul coins would have to deposit the money and soul coins with Lu Wu at the same time. Then, Lu Wu would deliver the coins to the two players who needed them. She copied the account information of this account directly into the artifact, and then connected the more powerful artifact to the network to realize real-time transactions between the players. In the later stages, the daily trading volume would be a great harvest for Lu Wu. Just like the 500 soul coins that Lu Wu sold to Yi Shui in the past, it was very unsafe, and it was very easy to be deceived. Peppa Boar, not bad, not bad. However, I don't understand why the Soul Coin top-up channel hasn't been opened since the Soul Coin exchange function was released. I'm starting to worry that Battle Online is going to go bankrupt. Laughing emoji. Baiwa Hierarch replied to Crayon Shinchan, speaking of love, I have to say this. Back then, there was a kid named Li Xiaoyao who asked me if I believed in love. Then, because I said that I believe in science, he chased me and beat me up. Laughing emoji, Showtime Devil. I feel that the content of the game is getting richer. I'm really looking forward to watching this game grow step by step. Keep it up. The post posted by the player named Poverty Makes Me Trash also made Lu Wu ponder. As for soul coins, no matter how strong Lu Wu became, the value of soul coins would never fall. Initially, Lu Wu planned to spend another 30,000 yuan to buy an intelligent customer service online. After all, the trading volume would only increase, and he would not be able to take care of it all. However, Bei Li's all-powerful assistant took care of everything at the critical moment. It was the same for the buyers. With this listing model, they didn't need to look for a seller. If they wanted soul coins, they could just top up our coins at the Soul Coin Exchange and look for a suitable ratio to purchase them. After 3 hours of discussion, Lu Wu and Bei Li finally decided on the new function of the game, the Soul Coin Exchange. In other words, players who wanted to sell their soul coins did not need to look for buyers. They only needed to place their soul coins on the Soul Coin Exchange in the form of items and add in the percentage they wanted to sell. Yi Shui is the cutest. Great. It was fast and convenient. The officials were finally showing their support. Originally, Lu Wu could have chosen to take 1% from both sides. However, Lu Wu's desire for our coins was getting lower and lower. After he started cultivating, he knew that he would have to transcend the mortal world sooner or later. After Bailey confirmed that this function would not go wrong, she immediately put it into use in the game. Surely_the_strongest. I'm so happy. I've been thinking about this problem since I saw the analysis done by the thread owner of Poverty Makes Me Trash yesterday. Since there's no guarantee for the trading of soul coins in the game, and the officials don't open a top-up channel, this is a huge hidden danger. I didn't expect a soul coin exchange to appear the next day. I give the officials a like. By the way, where's the top-up channel? It's still not open? Believe it or not, I can kill you with one shadow step and one blood slash. Angry emoji. The existence of this function was equivalent to the existence of a middleman. If Battle Online really became popular all over the world, then players from all over the world would definitely choose to exchange their own country's currency for soul coins in order to spend more money. Wouldn't it become the universal currency just like what the player said? Gold Raider. Awesome, this will save me a lot of time. I can use the extra game time to continue carrying brick. I give it a like. When Lu Wu first saw this post, he felt that it was ridiculous. However, he thought about it carefully. In order to prevent the players from thinking that the service fee was too expensive and choosing to continue trading face-to-face, Lu Wu only set the service fee at 1%. Crayon_Shinchan replied to Peppa_Boar, using love to generate electricity. The power of love is endless. How could it go bankrupt? Laughing emoji, Invincible_loneliness. Great! I've been cheated a few times in the group to collect soul coins. In the end, I could only use my reputation as a guarantee and let others trade soul coins first. However, with the soul coin exchange, I don't have to worry about anything. I'll collect soul coins on top of that. To Lu Wu, soul coins were naturally more important than money. Hence, the 1% was collected from soul coins instead of R coins. Although this function was named the soul coin exchange, it was not for Lu Wu to sell soul coins himself. It was to ensure that the player's soul coin transactions were absolutely safe and reliable. With this thought in mind, Lu Wu also realized that there was a huge bug in the game. That was, the game did not have a set of mature transaction protection functions. With Lu Wu as the middleman, the safety was naturally guaranteed. The players in the forum were also full of praise for this new function. This also increased the efficiency by a notch. Basically, the players did not have to wait. As long as the soul coin exchange received the transfer from the players, it would automatically process the transaction. Within a few seconds, the soul coins would be deposited into the backpack of the buyer. The money would also be directly transferred to the seller's account through the artifact's connection to the internet. Other than the players' praises, during the period when the soul coin exchange was launched, Lu Wu also actively adopted the players' feedback and suggestions in the forum. He once again upgraded the function of the soul coin exchange and added an additional selling mode similar to the auction house. After finalizing the plan, Lu Wu opened a top-up channel on the website and applied for an online virtual account to store the R coins of the players. For Lu Wu, the R coins were sufficient for his current use. Perhaps one day, he would not need them anymore. Although the 1% commission was not a lot, as the number of players increased, the transaction volume would also increase. After that, the two of them began to discuss how to regularize this transaction function. As the number of players was only a few 100,000, this transaction loophole had not been highlighted yet. Chapter 106. After the soul coin exchange went online, Lu Wu started designing the content of the game again. At the current stage, the number of players had reached 600,000. In the artifact space, the construction of the 100 cities that he had prepared had also been completed. Lu Wu planned to officially put them into use and start the first Guild Hegemony tournament. Lu Wu first called An Man and told her about his idea. After the two of them discussed for a while, An Man said that the Shark tournament platform would start the preparation phase. She would inform Lu Wu when everything was ready. While An Man was busy making arrangements for the tournament, Lu Wu also started his promotion for the tournament. After the update, the players discovered the appearance of a new cinematic when they went online. As the background music played, the images began to appear. A more suitable background music should be the opening song of Tu Honggang's Wind and Cloud 2. In the image, the camera was focused on a brown desert. 100 majestic cities were faintly discernible amidst the sandstorm. A sorrowful and vicissitudes of life assaulted one's senses. Then, an old voice sounded. On this land that is burning with blood and fire, the 100 cities that symbolize the pinnacle of power and power have once again ushered in the opportunity to awaken, following which, the image zoomed out, and the hundreds of cities in the player's eyes became tiny. Then, a golden throne appeared above each of these cities. The old voice appeared again. There is no true invincibility. There is no eternal winner. The former king has left. At this moment, a black silhouette with blurry features appeared on each throne. Only a true powerhouse can take over the city, command a region, and become a new hero. As the voice faded away, the image began to flash past the cities with different architectural styles. The players could clearly see the appearance of these cities. Fight for the 100 cities, who will rise and fall in this world. Then, countless silhouettes suddenly appeared. Their battle cries shook the sky. They were all charging towards these cities that symbolized the pinnacle of power. You are born to achieve great things. The battlefield is full of people. Only by killing 9 million people can you be the hero of heroes. Will there be a place for you in this supreme throne? As the aged voice faded away, flags of different colors were raised on the hundreds of cities, which made a loud noise in the sand-filled sky. The first 100 cities Guild Hegemony Tournament. Event requirements. This event will last for 6 hours. Registration must be done by guild, and the guild must have at least 300 members. Rules of the competition. All registered guilds will be teleported to the 100 Fortresses Hegemony map after the event officially starts. After a 10-minute safety protection period, guild players can choose one of the 100 fortresses to challenge. Note: each city gate has 5 million HP and durability. After attacking the city and capturing the city flag, the guild will officially become the owner of the city and can accept challenges from other guilds. Winning requirement: your guild must defend the city until the end of the event. If the city flag is stolen during the defending period, the defending guild members will be teleported out of the city, turning from defending to attacking. Event special benefit: this event has cancelled the 3-hour respawn mechanism. Instead, players will respawn 10 minutes after death at the center of the map. 100 Cities Hegemon Reward. 1. The winner's guild will be awarded 3,000 soul coins. Secondly, guild members who obtain the rights to own a city will receive the red title, 100 Cities Elite. 100 Fortresses Elites, 30 days red. Symbol of the winner of the 100 Fortresses Hegemony competition. Title attributes: 5% extra experience gained from killing monsters, 10 free entry qualifications to the instance Dungeon 3. The guild leader who obtains the city will receive the special purple title, King City Hegemony. King City Hegemony, 30 days purple. Symbol of the owner of the 100 Fortresses Hegemony competition. Title attributes: 10% extra experience gained from killing monsters, 30 free entry qualifications to the instance dungeon. 4. The guild will receive the priority to purchase the guild encampment. The appearance of the official announcement in conjunction with the cinematics caused an uproar among the players. The sudden appearance of the 100 Fortresses Hegemony competition caught all the major guilds unprepared. Many guilds immediately held meetings and started to recruit a large number of people. For this guild hegemony competition, most of the guilds lowered their entry requirements in order to amaze the world in this epic war. While the players were preparing for the competition, the HP potions in the game shop became a best-selling item and were constantly being manufactured and sold. However, the impact of this event was far from that. Such a generous reward made all the guild players jealous. They clearly knew what it meant to win this 100 Fortresses hegemony competition. Just the experience gained from killing monsters would allow their guild to be ahead of the other guilds in a short period of time. There was also the priority to purchase the encampment that could help the guild develop. This hegemony competition was of great significance to the major guild. The price of resources in the game had also risen because of this. The sales of consumable items in the game shop made Lu Wu earn a lot of money. However, what surprised the players was that Battle Online actually cooperated with the Shark platform for the live broadcast of the competition. Many players clearly knew how huge the live broadcast traffic of the Shark platform was. In other words, this was a competition that attracted the attention of all the players in the country. Therefore, how to show off their guild in the competition had become a hot topic among the players. Of course, there were many casual players who could not participate in this event. They directly logged into the Shark platform through the link posted by Lu Wu and bought the live tickets to the Dragon Metropolis Stadium, intending to support the first tournament of Battle Online. There were even many players who opened analysis posts and predictions posts in the forum to analyze the popular guilds in the game at this stage and predict which guilds would have a chance of winning the city. There were also some guilds who felt that they were not strong enough to take down a city. They began to unite with other guilds of equal strength to plan on how to take down a city together and then decide who would be the castellan of the city. Naturally, the small guilds were not the only ones who planned this in advance. There were also big guilds who began to rope in the small guilds with promises of benefits, hoping that they would become their allied forces in the 100 Fortresses hegemony competition and help them defend the city. The real battlefield was far from as simple as imagined. All the players were actively preparing for the upcoming war on the battlefield. Chapter 107. After the announcement of the tournament, the Shark tournament platform where Man was at was busy. The higher-ups of the Shark tournament were all optimistic about Battle Online. Therefore, they prepared very carefully for the tournament. They rented the Dragon City Sports Center as the venue for the live broadcast. They even got the best host of the tournament, Fong Ping, to host the tournament. They even specially invited a professional band to produce the theme song for the tournament as the opening show of the 100 Fortresses Hegemony tournament. Lu Wu did not need to do anything in terms of publicity. The Shark tournament platform took the initiative to advertise. They paid for the tournament out of their own pocket and began to post the tournament announcement on various traffic platforms. Because of this, more players noticed the game. The popularity of Battle Online rose again, and the number of players increased at an astonishing rate. All the arrangements for the tournament entered the intense preparation stage. During this period, a man called and told Lu Wu another piece of good news. Many gaming media had contacted the Shark tournament platform and were ready to report on the tournament. This undoubtedly made Lu Wu excited because the period of significant growth of players had arrived in advance. Even the traffic on Platform 173, the only platform that could download Battle Online, had skyrocketed. Wu Gui was so excited that he wanted to ask Lu Wu out for a drink to celebrate. However, Lu Wu naturally rejected him. After all, he was just a cat at this stage. He did not want to drink as he was afraid that he would scare Wu Gui to death. However, Lu Wu did not stay idle. He once again optimized the 100 Fortresses map stored in the artifact to ensure that there would be no mistakes in the details of the tournament. At the same time, he and Bailey began to set up some Easter eggs in the game. For example, in a city called Extreme City, there was a small golden dragon. Players who obtained and consumed the golden dragon would gain a 5-minute double increase in their attribute. Another example was the border of the 100 Fortresses map. There was an invincible grass that could make players invincible for 10 seconds. The addition of many Easter eggs added to the fun of the game. Of course, the addition of these Easter eggs did not cost Lu Wu any soul coins. After all, it was carried out in the artifact space. Just like the unlimited resurrection of players, because it was carried out in the space, there was no need to worry about damage to the soul. The only thing that made Lu Wu spend a lot of money in this event was the reward for the winner of the tournament. What made the players even more excited was a piece of news that Lu Wu revealed on the official website. In this event, whichever guild occupied the city of Beiki among the 100 cities, the process of their city war would be recorded in the history of the war in the form of a video. This news undoubtedly made the players, who had always wanted to become the #1 guild in the game, extremely excited. The palace at the center of the land of Tsangshu. A white-haired man with an abnormally youthful appearance looked down at the ghost kings and ghost generals, sighed softly, and waved his hand, signaling for them to leave. After his subordinates had all left, he pressed the golden scepter beside the throne. The throne slowly moved, revealing a passage below. Looking at the pitch-black passage, His Excellency Tsangshu had a complicated expression on his face. After letting out another sigh, he stepped into it. As he appeared, bonfires were lit all around him, illuminating the space below. After going several hundred meters deep, a spacious secret room appeared in front of him. In the center of this secret room, a beautiful woman dressed in chiffon was imprisoned there with her limbs shackled by iron chains. Looking at the beautiful woman, His Excellency Tsangshu's expression became very complicated. There was heartache, anger, regret, and all kinds of emotions mixed together, making His Excellency Tsangshu look very worried. At this moment, the woman suddenly opened her eyes and looked at His Excellency Tsangshu. Looking at the woman's slightly playful eyes, His Excellency Tsangshu's body trembled slightly. "I'm ready. This time, I swear to fight with my life on the line. If I succeed, I'll let you out and we'll still have a bright future. Although you've been planning for 10,000 years, you're no longer the Tsangshu who became stronger for the sake of becoming stronger. So, you're destined to fail. After all, you shouldn't have taken this position." The woman's words made His Excellency Tsangshu's face gradually turn ferocious. "Tch, you have to know how much effort I've put into this. Don't you know who I'm doing this for? You Tch. Tch. Why do you have to humiliate yourself? How can you face me?" Looking at the extremely angry His Excellency Tsangshu, the woman laughed self-deprecatingly. "If it wasn't for my efforts, you wouldn't have become His Excellency Tsangshu, and you wouldn't have become the Lord of the land of Tsangshu." Hearing this, His Excellency Tsangshu's face became abnormally pale. He recalled the day he became His Excellency Tsangshu, when the woman before him, dressed in red and crying, said to him, "If I didn't have my lips tasted by tens of thousands of people, how would I have become the His Excellency Tsangshu?" Looking at the woman, His Excellency Tsangshu's heart ached. Even though he was now a His Excellency and was in charge of the land of Tsangshu in the underworld, he was just one of the living beings in this reincarnated world. He couldn't transcend, and he couldn't even protect the person he loved the most. After taking another deep look at the woman, His Excellency Tsangshu turned around and left. However, with every step he took, his body would tremble slightly, as if he was suffering a great deal in his heart. "I've been a knife in the hands of others my whole life, but this time, I want to be the one holding the knife, even if my body is crushed and my soul scattered." After His Excellency Tsangshu left, the woman finally shed tears and murmured softly, "Transcend? It's so difficult. If you lose, I'll just go with you." Her beautiful eyes slowly closed as a drop of tear rolled down her cheek, sparkling in the dark secret chamber. Chapter 108. It was the second day of the preparation for the 100 Fortresses Hegemony tournament. Bailey, who was watching a movie with Lu Wu on the sofa, suddenly froze. She took out a small notebook from her pocket and started reading it carefully. Lu Wu naturally saw the change in Bailey. He turned around and looked at her curiously. "What's wrong?" "Someone is trying to go against the heavens," Bailey answered seriously after a moment of silence. "Go against the heavens? What do you mean?" Lu Wu was stunned. Wu, since you've started cultivating, there's no harm in telling you some things. Do you know what's in the sky? Bailey raised her hand and pointed upwards. The stars? The moon? The sun? Bailey picked Lu Wu up from the sofa and started massaging him with all her might. Naughty naughty, Lu Wu's hair stood on end after his cultivation. He leaped away from Bailey's hand and leaped onto her head with the help of the sofa. He raised his claw and gave her a slap. Have you forgotten that you can't defeat me now? Bailey's eyes were filled with tears after the slap. I forgot. Tell me, what's going on? Lu Wu, who was the boss again, asked proudly. Bailey rubbed her head and said gloomily, Do you remember what you promised me when we first met? Lu Wu began to recollect his memories. After recalling the scene of that day, he smiled awkwardly. Are you talking about me borrowing troops from Emperor Qin to attack the underworld? Bailey was furious. She raised her hand and was about to grab Lu Wu. However, she seemed to have thought of something and stopped herself. You told me back then if you want to help me and become my right-hand man. After we're done with the underworld, we'll attack the heavens and become the masters of the three realms. Lu Wu felt even more embarrassed. He was joking and did not take it seriously. He had forgotten about it after such a long time, but he did not expect Bailey to remember it so clearly. Could it be the heavens? Lu Wu asked curiously. Bailey nodded. Since the underworld exists and there are cultivators in the mortal world, then there's naturally the immortal world, which is the heavens. Do you remember when you asked me where the land deities in the mortal world went? I pointed above my head. Actually, I meant the heavens. Lu Wu's expression turned solemn. Then what do you mean by defying the heavens? Someone wants to attack the heaven realm? Bailey shook her head. I don't know what his purpose is, nor do I know who he is, but he has activated the Een Talisman. That means he has become a member of the Anti-Heaven Alliance. Upon hearing Bailey's explanation, Lu Wu's eyes widened. Damn it, it seems like I've also obtained the Een Talisman that can travel back and forth between Yin and Yang. Am I a member of the Anti-Heaven Alliance too? Lu Wu calmed down. Of course not, your Een Talisman has already merged with the God Weapon. It has become a part of the God Weapon, therefore you no longer have the symbol of the Anti-Heaven Alliance. Phew, Lu Wu let out a long sigh of relief. He almost thought that he was going to start a war with the gods. But your ancestor used to be a member of the Anti-Heaven Alliance, Bailey said with a smile while squinting her eyes. Lu Wu widened his eyes again. Why did my ancestor join such an organization? Because the heavenly Tao is unfair. Lu Wu. Millions of years ago, the heaven realm, the human realm, and the underworld, ghost realm, were the three great realms that stood between heaven and earth. Among them, the human realm was the most powerful one. Every 100 years, there would be geniuses who would attain enlightenment during cultivation and become earth immortals. There were even a few human sovereigns who ruled over the world. That was the true golden age of cultivation. It could be said that everyone in the human realm was like dragons, enjoying the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. It was the strongest force in the three realms. But do you know why there is a lack of spiritual chi in the human realm, making it difficult for people to cultivate? Lu Wu was stunned, then he shook his head. Because the Earth Immortals knew that if they did not curb the development of the human realm would one day rule over the three realms. Therefore, they did something despicable, which was to send a mighty person into the underworld and seal the spiritual chi passage from the underworld to the world of the living, the 6 paths of reincarnation gate. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth was getting thinner. Naturally, the Earth Immortals in the human realm realized it and personally went to the underworld to investigate. However, the despicable Immortals had already made preparations. They disguised themselves as the mighty people of the underworld and attacked the investigation in the human realm. They even killed all the Earth Immortals who came to investigate in the underworld. The process during this period was complicated, so I won't go into the details with you. In short, because of this, an earth-shattering war broke out between the human realm and the underworld. This war almost caused the entire underworld to fall apart. If it weren't for the emperors of the underworld who swore by the 6 paths of reincarnation, this war might have destroyed the underworld, one of the 3 realms. The mistake had been made, but it was too late to realize it. At this time, the gods of the world of immortals were like chess players who had calculated every step of their chess pieces. It was also at this moment that the real mastermind behind the scenes appeared. The first thing they did was to cut off the other source of spiritual chi in the human realm. At this stage, even if they discovered the conspiracy of the world of immortals, the human realm had also lost a lot of combat power after the war between the human realm and the underworld. There was no way for them to fight against the world of immortals. Moreover, the world of immortals had also cut off their hope of rising again in cultivation. After all, the 2 sources of spiritual chi had been cut off. The human realm could no longer restore the golden age of cultivation, let alone give birth to a peerless powerhouse like the human emperor. After that, the spiritual chi in the human realm had withered. Because of this, countless battles for resources broke out. The cultivation forces finally came to an end and gradually faded out of people's sight. After listening to Bei Li's explanation, Lu Wu frowned. Then why did you say that the earth immortals had gone to heaven? Under the great fear of the depletion of spiritual chi, some of the earth immortals chose to betray the human clan and joined the heaven realm, becoming their dogs. As for the rest of the earth immortals who were unwilling to live in seclusion, they went to the extraterritorial realm in search of an opportunity to revive the human clan. What about the human emperor? Aren't they as old as the heavens? Where did they go? Bailey shook her head. I've told you all that I can. You shouldn't know the rest. It's not good for you to listen to me any further because your soul is too weak to keep this secret. But let me tell you one thing. If you want to be the ruler, then behind the world of immortals, Lu Wu, who was listening attentively, suddenly trembled. He lay on the sofa and wailed. This was because he felt a stabbing pain in his soul, as if a thorny brush was sweeping across his body. Upon seeing this, Bailey quickly took out a few grains of spiritual rice from the artifact, crushed them and fed them to Lu Wu. The spiritual energy filled his body and dispersed throughout his entire body. The piercing pain subsided, and Lu Wu slowly opened his bloodshot eyes. At this moment, Lu Wu's face was full of fear, but his heart was still full of doubts. However, he knew that he really could not listen anymore. Bailey did not lie to him. Knowing too much would definitely kill him. Chapter 109. Bei Li's words made Lu Wu realize that there were so many secrets hidden in this seemingly ordinary world. Wu, don't worry too much. Just focus on the game. You have to know that you now control the most talented human race in the 3 realms, an existence that even the world of immortals feared. With the help of the artifact, your future will be earth-shattering, so you don't have to be afraid of any forces. Lu Wu nodded in response to Bei Li's consolation. It was just as Bei Li had said. Now that he had the artifact and the most talented race, as long as he was given time, no one would be able to stop him from progressing. So, someone is trying to go against the heavens? Bei Li nodded. It should be one of the forces in the underworld. I'm not sure what he's trying to do, but you better stop his dangerous behavior. Why? The current strength of the human world and the underworld cannot compete with the heavens, let alone withstand a war. His idea is too naive. Not only is he destined to fail, he will also drag the other 2 realms down. Lu Wu took a deep breath. What should I do? If he wants to go against the heavens, he will definitely come to the human world with the help of the Een talisman and look for an opportunity. As long as he passes through the 6 paths of reincarnation, I will sense it. When that happens, I will inform you and give you advice. Lu Wu nodded his head vigorously after hearing this. The underworld, the burial grounds. After the earth-shattering battle between the demonic god and Hitorigami, the resting place of the dead had turned into ruins. At this moment, a player was walking on the cracked ground. At the same time, his eyes were wandering as if he was searching for something. After crossing a steep stone pillar, Huhi's face was filled with surprise. He quickly walked towards the remains of a bone spirit that was buried in gravel with only half an arm exposed. After some effort, he cleared the gravel and finally revealed the bone spirit warrior underneath. Then, he started to pick and choose from the bone spirit's body. After choosing some parts that were still in good condition, he started to wander again. 2 hours later, Huhi's figure appeared at the periphery of the burial grounds. After finding a spacious area, Huhi opened up the channel and poured all the bone spirit warrior's remains that he had collected on the ground. Then, he opened up the photo album function in the game and found the photos of the secret method of the zombie spirit sect that he had recorded in reality. Looking at the ancient book, Huhi's face revealed a hint of anticipation. Huhi was different from many young people in reality. He believed in the existence of God and the existence of cultivators in the world, because his grandfather was a cultivator. Huhi's impression of his grandfather was that he was eccentric and unsociable. He spent his entire life in the mass grave at the back of the village. He built a thatched hut there, and would not come out unless there was something urgent at home. However, during one visit to the village, the young Huhi was completely stunned by his eccentric grandfather. That summer, Huhi was led by his parents back to the village to visit his grandparents. In order to surprise his grandfather, he went up the mountain alone and went to the mass grave where his grandfather often stayed. Because of this, he discovered his grandfather's secret. When he sneaked to the back of the mountain and approached the mass grave, he saw his grandfather's figure. At that time, he was prepared to go forward and give his grandfather a scare. However, just as he approached, Huhi was horrified to find that his grandfather was holding a few broken limbs with fresh soil on them. He was even gesturing excitedly. The young Huhi thought that his grandfather had killed someone. At the same time, he was too afraid and just watched from afar. His grandfather did not notice his arrival. However, what happened next made Huhi dumbfounded. As his grandfather gestured, the broken limbs gradually assembled and formed a 2-meter-tall zombie. Witnessing this scene, Huhi finally could not help but make a move. At that moment, his grandfather's eyes flashed with ferocity. He turned around and pointed, and the zombie suddenly pounced towards him. Huhi still remembered clearly that the zombie's black nails were only a few centimeters away from his neck. If his grandfather did not stop the zombie in time, he believed that he would have been dead. At that time, Huhi was so scared that he cried loudly. His grandfather immediately chased the zombie to the side and picked him up. He said some comforting words, but his eyes were filled with panic. It was also that experience that made him realize that his grandfather was not an ordinary person. In the days that followed, due to his curiosity, Huhi would visit his grandfather whenever it was a holiday. Influenced by many superhero movies and comics, Huhi felt that he might have an extraordinary background and might possess that kind of superpower. His grandfather did not hide anything from him anymore. He told Huhi that his ancestors were once practitioners of the zombie spirit sect, a cultivation force. They had mastered the secret techniques of summoning, awakening, and assembling corpses. The young Huhi once told his grandfather excitedly that he wanted to learn and cultivate too. Although he would occasionally show off his skills in front of his grandson and show off his authority as a grandfather, the old man was very firm in his attitude towards Huhi's desire to cultivate. He would not agree no matter what. Huhi used both hard and soft tactics, but he still could not learn the secret techniques of cultivation from his grandfather. This undoubtedly made him very depressed. However, when Huhi was 23 years old and in college, he received news that his grandfather was critically ill and wanted to see him for the last time. Huhi rushed over from another city. When he saw his grandfather, he was horrified to find that his grandfather's face was ashen, like a withered tree that was about to rot. His entire body exuded the aura of someone who was past his prime. Seeing Hu He's arrival, the old man became slightly livelier. When Hu He came to his bedside, he held Hu He's hand and said, "Little He, this is why I don't let you cultivate. I don't want you to follow me down this path of no return." Looking at the old man who loved him dearly, Hu He shed tears. "You have to pay the price for what you want. Now you know the consequences, the answer you've always wanted to know. Grandpa has placed it under the straw hut. You've grown up. How do you choose? Grandpa won't stop you this time." After saying this, Hu He's grandfather closed his eyes and left. With a heavy heart, Hu He found the secret techniques of zombie spirit sect while he was sorting out his grandfather's belongings in the straw hut in the mass grave. At that time, Hu He was hesitant. He wanted to cultivate. It was his dream since he was young, but at the same time, his grandfather's advice before he left appeared in his mind. In the end, Hu He read the ancient book with the mentality of giving it a try, but definitely not cultivating. Chapter 110. From then on, Hu He would often spend time studying the secret technique of zombie spirit sect. However, he still listened to his grandfather's warning and never practiced it. The reason why he wanted to test the ability of this ancient book in the game was because he discovered something strange in the game yesterday. That day, he and his team members were exploring the Naraka Realm Instance Dungeon. They encountered an elite monster, Corpse Fire, and were attacked by it. As the assassin of the team, Hu He wandered around Corpse Fire while it was attacking, looking for an opportunity to attack. However, he did not expect Corpse Fire to suddenly change its attack direction and pounce on him. This attack took out nearly half of his HP, and another attack came right after. Just as he was about to be killed, he suddenly noticed a fiery red bead under Corpse Fire's left armpit. Hu He, who was already familiar with the secret technique of zombie spirit sect, naturally recognized this bead. In the ancient book of zombie spirit sect, it was called a leak. It was a weak point deliberately left by the zombie forge master. This was because once a zombie spirit was successfully refined, it would automatically absorb the yin energy of heaven and earth for itself, cultivating and growing unknowingly. This made it easy for an evil spirit to be born. The purpose of leaving this leak was to prevent the zombie spirit from devouring its master, leaving a way out for the zombie forge master. If that was the case, Hu He would have thought it was just a coincidence. However, when his dagger cut through the red bead, a shocking scene happened. After the bead broke, a large amount of thick black fog flowed out from Corpsefire's armpit. Its movements became extremely slow, allowing Hu He to narrowly avoid this fatal blow. The scene of the zombie energy leaking was exactly the same as what was recorded in the ancient book. Could it be that Corpse Fire was also created by the zombie forge master? Hu He was extremely shocked. After the zombie energy leaked, Corpsefire's strength and speed were greatly reduced, so it was easily killed by his team. However, all of this was too strange for Hu He. Why would the game have the same corpse refining method as what was recorded in the ancient book? Could it be that the developer of this game was also a descendant of the zombie spirit sect? Was that why they added the same Easter egg in the game? Hu He himself felt that this speculation was absurd, but he could not get it out of his head. If his speculation was correct, and the developer of this game was also a descendant of the zombie spirit sect, then perhaps the secret technique of zombie spirit sect could also be used in the game. He did not dare to learn it in reality, but in the game, he did not need to worry about his body being damaged. Therefore, Hu He, who had no psychological pressure, came to the burial grounds and began to search for corpses. He wanted to learn the contents of the ancient book and piece together a zombie. Looking at the corpse on the ground, Hu He waved his hand and the pages of the album began to flip. As he read the ancient book, he pieced it together. Then, he followed the method recorded in the book and dripped his blood to summon the spirit. Although he had looked through this ancient book countless times and was very familiar with many of the pictures in it, he only realized how difficult it was to actually do it. After piecing it together, he could not have it out, corpse on, spirit became the moo on, the spirit was on, he was to was, he on, he spirit to technique to on. Unwilling to give up, he decided to try one last time. If he did not succeed, he would give up. Therefore, he pieced it together according to the method in the ancient book. This time, just as he had expected, it was a failure. The zombie spirit was still not awakened. Disappointed, he gave up completely. He did not want to waste any more time. Just as he was about to leave, he heard a game notification. Create a new character class, Zombie Forge Master. Note: do not give up after choosing. This character class does not have a systematic growth path. You have to figure it out yourself. There really was a hidden Easter egg. Was my speculation correct? Hui's face was filled with surprise. Actually, Lu Wu and Bailey had already noticed Hui when he started piecing the zombie together. They also noticed the secret technique of zombie spirit sect in his album. Lu Wu was very surprised that players could use abilities that were not granted by artifact. He thought that Hui was also a cultivator in the real world. However, Bailey did not think so. To her, Hui's zombie refining technique was too crude. He had not even mastered the basics of a real zombie forge master. Moreover, the strength of his soul was no different from an ordinary person. He could be said to be a complete layman, not a cultivator at all. However, his behavior had piqued Lu Wu's curiosity. He asked Bailey if this ability could be developed under the digitalization of artifact. According to Bailey, the zombie refining technique that Hui used should be a branch of the cultivation system in the underworld. This kind of zombie refining technique was also very common in the underworld. As there was no information about this in artifacts, if it were to be digitalized, the subsequent growth of the character class would be a complete mystery. The biggest possibility would be that the character would be completely destroyed. After all, characters like Cursed Apostles and Rune Masters were all accumulated by the other races in the underworld for many years. The Zombie Forge Master could not be compared to the character classes in the system. Moreover, this player was a complete newbie. His growth after class advancement would at most be slightly stronger than the initial assassin character class, but it would not be comparable to the character classes in the system. However, Lu Wu still hoped that this player could walk on this path of self-exploration and increase the game's development in a variety of ways. However, he could not make a direct decision, so he left the choice to the player. After all, Lu Wu's game principle was to liberalize the players and allow them to freely unleash their potential. Because of this, the players always brought him surprises. Looking at the game notification, Hui was filled with excitement. He was about to press confirm. However, he suddenly hesitated again. His original goal was to become a cursed apostle and master the power of the Naraka realm. However, this character class had clearly stated that he could not give up. If he really made the choice, it would be too late for regret. Moreover, this game did not allow him to delete his character and start from scratch. The price of choosing this character class was undoubtedly heavy. At this moment, Hui's grandfather's face appeared in his mind. Although I can't cultivate in the real world, if I choose this character class, wouldn't I be inheriting my grandfather's legacy in another form and walking on the path that he once walked on? Immediately, Hui's gaze became determined. He reached out his hand and pressed confirm. Server announcement. Congratulations to player Hui for creating a new character class, Zombie Forge Master. Obtained Easter egg reward. 500 bound soul coins, untradeable. As soon as the announcement was made, the players in the entire server went into an uproar. Chapter 111. Players had only heard of people changing to a hidden character class by chance. However, creating a new character class was something that the players did not even dare to think about. However, the server announcement made the players realize that there really was such a godly person who succeeded and even received an Easter egg as a reward. All the players opened the game's built-in forum and frantically asked around, wanting to know how this player did it. For a moment, Huhi's name was constantly mentioned in the forum. Meanwhile, Huhi was still in shock as he stared at the data panel in front of him. A Zombie Forge Master, Class Introduction. A Deathwalker who can create new life on the body of a dead soul. A powerful Zombie Forge Master can master various dark abilities such as forging corpses, controlling corpses, awakening corpses, summoning corpses, assembling corpses, refining corpses, parasitizing corpses, and feeding corpses. Class Advancement. There is no system advancement template. You have to figure it out yourself. Class Specialty. The stronger the corpse, the stronger the corpse spirit. Note: the stronger the corpse, the harder it is to refine. Looking at the new panel of his character class, Huhi fell into deep thought. From the introduction, this character class seemed to have a lot of potential for development. At the very least, there was one thing that other classes could not compare to, and that was the strength of the corpse spirit was not limited by the user. Even if his level was low, as long as he could obtain the corpse of a powerhouse and successfully refine it, he would be able to kill enemies of a higher level. Could it be that I have to embark on the path of grave robbing, digging up graves, and searching for the corpses of powerhouses? Thinking of this, Huhi did not know whether to laugh or cry. His grandfather had spent his entire life in the mass grave, but he had to become a grave digger in the game. The characteristics of the zombie spirit sect were really strange. However, his childhood experience had made him exceptionally courageous. He was not afraid of evil spirits such as ghouls. Moreover, this was a game world, so he did not have to worry too much. After thinking about his future development, Huhi stared at the wreckage on the ground that he had failed to assemble. His eyes revealed a hint of determination. Then, he opened the ancient book again and began to assemble the corpse according to the steps written on it. He accumulated experience through repeated failures and relied on his rich theoretical experience from reading ancient book. After the 32nd time, a thin black fog appeared above the corpse and slowly flowed into the corpse. After the corpse was nourished by the black fog, the gap between the bones automatically adjusted and solidified. Then, a weak ball of soul fire appeared in the skull of the corpse. Success! Huhi shouted excitedly. Corpse Warrior Grey. A failed corpse refinement product made from the remains of bone spirits, bone crusher warriors, and crane men. Note: all zombie spirit creatures can absorb yin qi to grow over time. The higher the quality of the zombie spirit, the faster the growth rate. Note: the quality of a zombie spirit is divided into 6 stages. From low to high they are gray, inferior, white, normal, blue, superior, red, rare, purple, epic, and black, legendary. Strength assessment: physique, level 28, attack speed, level 2, attack power, level 2, corpse spirit enchantment, non-zombie spirit characteristics. Sluggish, crude refinement method only retains the original physical strength of the corpse, but is unable to stimulate the true power of the zombie spirit. From the data, it could be seen that the skeleton warrior's forging process was a complete failure. However, Huhi was still very happy because he knew that this path was feasible. At the same time, it also aroused his desire to continue exploring this path. Looking at the skeletal warrior lying lifelessly on the ground, Hu-Xin had a thought. Upon receiving the order, the skeletal warrior slowly got up from the ground and performed various actions according to Huhi's orders. The feeling of controlling a living creature made Huhi grin uncontrollably. From today onwards I'm going to be a gravedigger in the game. I'm going to find the corpses of powerhouses and become a powerhouse. Thinking about the powerful strength of the demonic god and Hidorigami, Hui's mind was already imagining that he would be lucky enough to find the corpses of powerful creatures like them in some ruins and refine them into a super strong zombie spirit. From then on, he would be invincible. However, when he thought of this, Hui's face froze. He suddenly remembered something very important. It seemed like after the Christmas battle, Chana's head was still hanging on the city gate. Hui's breathing became heavier and his eyes began to shine. If he could steal it, wouldn't it be the best material to refine a zombie? When the time comes, he could piece the body together and perhaps he could refine an extremely strong zombie spirit. However, he was still a little hesitant, mainly because he was afraid that his actions would be discovered and he would become a sinner in the eyes of other players. After all, Chana's head was a souvenir of the players after they conquered Lioli district. It had a symbolic meaning. After a moment of silence, Hui fell into a dilemma. After thinking about it for a while, Hui still did not want to let go of the opportunity to obtain Chana's head. He decided to steal it in the middle of the night when there were fewer people. Could this desire for corpses be an occupational disease passed down from the zombie spirit sect? A guess appeared in Hui's mind. Then, he chuckled and walked towards the mansion of the dead with the skeleton warrior. This gravedigger, who would be despised by millions of people in the future, had officially started his journey of refining zombies. Meanwhile, in the forum, Crayon_Shinchan, where's the Almighty who created the class? Come out and show off your skills. Shueli_the_strongest. I really want to know how he did it. The officials didn't give any explanation and the Almighty doesn't go on the forum. This is so frustrating. Strike_gold. I think our guild needs this kind of technical talent, cool. Peppa_boar. Zombie Forge Master? A scary guess appeared in my mind. Could it be that this guy got a knack for playing with corpses? That's why he activated the Easter egg in the game, disgusting. Crayon_Shinchan replied to Peppa_boar. Looking at this class name and seeing your guess, my mind is filled with images, disgusting. Poverty_trash. Someone go and get the attribute panel of this class. I suspect this guy is a murderer in real life. This is too scary, laughing emoji. Crayon_Shinchan, same. Zombie Forge Master, come out now. If you don't light up the attribute panel, I'm going to call the police, laughing emoji. Chapter 112. The Dragon Capital Stadium was ablaze with lights at night. After 5 days of waiting, the long-awaited 100 Fortresses Hegemony tournament finally kicked off. As the lights gradually dimmed, the loyal fans of Battle Online who were sitting in the stadium looked expectant. As a beam of light was cast on the center stage, the 4 members of the ATC band appeared, and the music started slowly. Legends never die, legend never dies. The 4 Cs cheered, casting a legend never dies, the world calls your name, and with eternity as the foundation, carve a legend in yourself. Bathed in blood, compose a song to contend for supremacy, where the stars and wield the sword to survive. Cold smoke drinks ice everywhere, ambition is clear in the bones. The fire invades the clothes, the embers will finally disperse. Pick up your head and fight for yourself. The 4 Cs cheered, casting a legend never dies. Bathed in blood, compose a mysterious song. Sadly, the scars are weary, but the river of bones is nowhere to be seen. Heaven takes everything, and makes himself the enemy. Looking back, I was just a young man chasing after dreams. Pick up your head and fight for yourself. The 4 Cs cheered, casting a legend never dies. The world calls your name, and with eternity as the foundation, carve a legend in yourself. This is the theme song of the 2017 LOL World Finals. This is the Chinese translation. In the midst of the music, the lights of the entire Dragon Capital Stadium converged, forming a map of the 100 Fortresses Hegemony above the crowd. The CG in the game appeared in the form of a 3D projection, and the players below cheered at the same time. Battle never dies, legend never dies. Welcome to the Dragon Capital Stadium to watch the first 100 Fortresses Hegemony Tournament of Battle Online. The host of the tournament, Fong Ping, appeared in the center of the stage. The surrounding lights were all lit up at this moment, illuminating the sky. The words, 100 Fortresses Hegemony Tournament, appeared on the big screen in front of the stage. I believe that the loyal players of Battle Online have been waiting for this day for a long time. Tonight, we will compete for the strongest 100 guilds of the year in this game. The horn of war has been blown. In this battle of blood and fire, who will be the king? Let us turn our attention to the big screen. As Fong Ping's words faded, the words on the big screen faded, and the scene of the Mansion of the Dead in the game appeared. Meanwhile, in the game, all the guilds were eagerly waiting for the event to begin. Server announcement. All guild players who have registered for the 100 Fortresses Hegemony Tournament, please note that the teleportation will begin in 30 seconds. Please be prepared. The announcement caused the entire Mansion of the Dead to erupt into a frenzy. All the players were shouting excitedly. Lu Chai of the Demolition Guild. Brothers, let me say this before the battle. I want to take over the city of Baiki. Do you have the confidence? Hearing the boss's roar, the members of Demolition raised their weapons and roared at the same time. The Myth Guild. Gu Yu. Our target this time is the city of Baiki. We, the Myth Guild, are the strongest guild from the beginning. Great Dragon Guild. Chunziu. Brothers, we're different from the other guilds. We don't have the money or connections, but this time, Chunziu's gaze swept across the guild members in front of him. Swear on Baiki. Wu Guori of the Avengers Alliance. It's time for us to prove ourselves. We're ready for battle just for today. Let's point our swords at the city of Baiki. Winner takes all. Let's fight to the death. Lu Zhan of the Slayer Alliance raised the wine glass in his hand. For this battle, I'll send you off with wine. We'll gallop unhindered with 30% drunkenness and 70% heroism to build a career. Bottoms up. The guild members heard him and all raised their wine glasses and drained them in one gulp. Yuhan of the Earth-Shaking Guild. Our army is as powerful as a tiger. No hero in the world is a match for us. Baiki, who else but me can do it? All the guild leaders shouted out their goals in the last 30 seconds of the teleportation countdown. Their passion had also infected the audience, who were watching the live broadcast outside the stadium. Cheers and shouts were like a tsunami in the Dragon City Stadium. They felt a great sense of pride flowing in their hearts, and they were also looking forward to the epic battle tonight. Who would emerge victorious? Meanwhile, a large number of players were also watching the live broadcast of the competition on Shark's online streaming platform. Even the audience who had never played this game before were infected by the passionate pre-battle mobilization, which made them even more curious about the game Battle Online. The great battle was about to begin. Even Lu Wu did not expect that the city of Baiki would become the target of all the big guild. These powerful guilds who had built immortal dynasties in other games had the same goal at this moment, which was to be number one. The epic battle slowly began. Chapter 113. The teleportation has begun. All players, please get ready. With the appearance of the game notification, all the players who were already prepared in the Mansion of the Dead turned into white light and disappeared on the spot. In the central area of the 100 Fortresses Hegemony map, all the players who were participating in the battle gathered there as the white light appeared. There were a total of 881 guilds participating in the battle, with a total of 634,320 players. It was a huge scale. In other games at this stage, such a large number of players appearing on a map at the same time would definitely cause some server anomalies and cause a lag. However, Battle Online did not disappoint anyone. Event notice. The 10-minute safety protection countdown has begun. During the safe time, players are not allowed to leave the central area and are not allowed to PK with each other. Please get ready for the upcoming battle. After the game notification sounded, the leaders of the major guilds began to summon their guild members and quickly gathered. While Gu Yu, Lu Chai, Lu Zhan, and Wu Gui gathered their members, they also opened the game's built-in map and began to look for the location of the city of Beiki. In the map of the 100 Fortresses hegemony, the city of Beiki was very conspicuous. It was located in the north of the map and was the only city in the north. There were 33 cities in the east, south, and west respectively. While the safe time was counting down, a white halo appeared on the ground and slowly shrank as time went by. When the white halo shrank to the central area, the game notification appeared again. The safe time is over. The battle officially begins. Charge toward the pinnacle of glory. Warriors! Roar! The players roared excitedly. All the guilds began to rush in 4 directions at this moment. Among them, the number of players rushing toward the north was the least. It was incomparable to the number of players in the other 3 directions. However, everyone who was watching the battle knew that the north was the place where all the heroes were competing for supremacy and where the battle was the most intense. There were a total of 38 guilds heading toward the north. Among them, the strongest were undoubtedly the Myth Guild, the Demolition Officers, the Slayer Alliance, the Great Dragon Guild, the Earth Shaker Guild, the Avengers, and the Guardian Angels. The other 31 guilds were all roped in before the battle with the purpose of assisting one of the forces to win. While rushing toward the city of Beiki, they were all vigilant of the other guilds but did not take the initiative to attack. Brothers, speed up! At this time, Lu Chai roared excitedly. Then, a blue halo appeared under his feet and quickly spread to the surroundings. Sea of War. After this ability is activated, all members of the faction receive a 5% movement speed bonus and receive 2 healing points per second for 10 minutes. The range covers a radius of 100 meters. As the blue halo enveloped all the members of the Demolition Guild, the entire guild's advancement speed increased by a notch, slowly pulling away from the other guilds. Everyone, drink your medicine! Gu Yu shouted in the live chat channel. Upon hearing Gu Yu's order, all the guild members took out the haste potion that they had purchased from the shop and swallowed it without hesitation. At once, the members of the Myth Guild sped up and dashed forward at a speed faster than the Demolition Guild. So King Rich. Seeing this scene, Chernziu was undoubtedly depressed. After all, compared to the other guilds, his side was the poorest. After running for about 10 minutes, the majestic city of Beiki appeared in everyone's sight. Gu Yu, who was the first to reach the gate of the city of Beiki, immediately commanded his guild members to launch a fierce attack on the gate. After being attacked, a row of health bar numbers appeared on the gate, 4942381. Although the gate had 5 million health bar, it did not have a defense value. The damage it suffered was all real damage. Under the attack of the Myth Guild, the health bar began to drop rapidly. At this time, the members of the Demolition Guild had also arrived. Lu Chai immediately roared, "Break in and clear them away!" Accompanied by Lu Chai's roar, under the leadership of a dozen rune masters, the front row of the Berserker Brigade violently crashed into the Myth Guild's defense line that had been waiting for a long time. Boom! A great battle broke out in an instant. The Demolition Guild and the Myth Guild were old rivals. Now that they met each other, they were even more enraged and started to fight. "Hold on, we only need 5 minutes and we can take over the city. Son of AB*TCH, heal your teammates!" Gu Yu roared. Upon hearing Gu Yu's order, Sun Chi leaped up from the ground. His body floated in the air and began to sprinkle green healing light. At this time, an arrow appeared from the front and hit Sun Chi fiercely. This attack immediately interrupted Sun Chi's skill. As his body fell, another burning arrow came from afar and hit Sun Chi. The power of annihilation exploded instantly and Sun Chi was instantly killed in the air. He turned into a white light and returned to the safety point in the center. "Good job!" Wu Gui shouted excitedly. He then patted the guild member beside him who was retrieving his longbow. The player who shot the 2 accurate arrows was called Li Lin. He was the 3rd place in the archery inheritance trial. Naturally, he was not Yi Chun of the random arrow technique. Since the Myth Guild had taken the initiative to take over the city and formed a defensive barrier in front of the gate, their common enemy now was the Myth Guild. Brothers, guard the gate with me and help the Myth Guild enter the city. At this time, the 6 guilds in the siege team suddenly turned around and attacked the players at the back, sharing the pressure on the Myth Guild. As the number of people increased, the scale of the battle gradually expanded. It was chaos in front of the gate with spells and skills flying everywhere. Players were constantly beaten to the point of near death. They were killed before they could even drink potions. They turned into white light and returned to the safe zone. Lu Chai said, "All the brothers in the safe zone, come to support immediately after you resurrect. The rest of you, gather together and kill a way out. We will definitely take over the city of Beiki." Following Lu Chai's roar, the Demolition Guild began to search for their own group in the chaos with great efficiency. They quickly assembled and launched a charge forward again. The 100 Fortresses Hegemony tournament had only just started and a conflict of such scale had already broken out. The audience watching the live broadcast outside the venue was thrilled. Everyone's eyes were glued to the screen, waiting for the moment when the city gate was breached. Chapter 114. If Yi Chun achieved this result with his real ability, then Mo Lingtian would only be encouraged. However, Yi Chun was purely a random archer. Mo Lingtian would not be satisfied if he lost to him. Looking at the half of his HP bar at the gate, Gu Yu's eyes became determined. Accompanied by the appearance of a crimson flame on the longbow, the attack ruthlessly smashed into the defenseless Mo Lingtian's body, causing a damage of -68. However, what surprised Mo Lingtian was that Yi Chun did not activate the sliding step. The arrow made a wrong judgment and shot in front of Yi Chun. 2 burning arrows were shot at the same time. A bloody figure of -110 appeared above Yi Chun's head. His HP bar was reduced by half. An assassin from the Demolition Guild in the distance was hit by him and disappeared in a white light. Seeing this scene, Mo Lingtian's lips curled into a smile. He tilted his body and activated the sliding steps ability. His body slid forward a few meters and easily avoided several fatal attacks. However, at the same time when the arrow was shot, a cunning gleam flashed through Yi Chun's eyes as he approached. Subsequently, he activated sliding steps and leaned back. He slid 3 meters forward and appeared next to Mo Lingtian. The long-haired man beside Mo Lingtian nodded and took a step forward. Then, he slowly raised his dark green Lingyun bow and began to aim at the water fortress behind the siege. As the 2nd place in the archery trial, Mo Lingtian's archery skills were undoubtedly powerful. Accompanied by the shooting of flame arrows, he could kill a fragile water element wizard at the back every time. Glancing at the siege army in front of him, Mo Lingtian's eyes became sharp. He ran through the gap between his guild's players. While running, he raised his longbow from time to time, aimed and shot arrows. Moreover, Mo Lingtian never thought that he would attack Yi Chun. After all, he was the real archer. Lingtian, shoot at their output points. Try to reduce the pressure on the front. Before Mo Lingtian could finish his words, Yi Chun roared excitedly, "You're so strong!" With such a powerful individual ability, everyone could imagine that if Mo Lingtian was born in ancient times, he would definitely be a fierce general on the battlefield. He had actually managed to reduce the number of mage players at the back of the siege team by relying solely on his own ability, while also rendering the assassins helpless. Mo Lingtian's state of mind was greatly affected at this moment. Although he could kill Yi Chun, who was at critical health points with just 1 arrow, Yi Chun did not give him the chance at all. Yi Chun stuck close to him and displayed his close combat ability. However, at this moment, a burning arrow appeared in front of them. Yi Chun used the longbow as a weapon and smashed it hard on Mo Lingtian's chest. The game notification stunned Mo Lingtian. Wasn't this an ability that only the melee professions in the cultivation pavilion practiced? As an archer, why would he practice this? Every time he fired an arrow, he didn't even need to look at the arrow's trajectory before he decisively turned around and changed his shooting position. However, the arrow would always hit the target accurately. As Yi Chen's silhouette continued to approach, Mo Lingtian began to predict Yi Chen's trajectory this time. He calculated the distance of the gliding step and then shot another arrow. The assassin couldn't pinpoint his exact position due to his running attacks, and his powerful one-hit DPS left the spectators in awe. At this time, the distance between the two was still less than 15 meters. When Mo Lingtian raised his longbow, Yi Chen, who was running, also slowly raised his longbow. Amazing! After shooting an arrow, he didn't even look back and then predicted the next safe output point. This god was very low-key before. I admire him, I admire him. Mo Lingtian, who was in the dizzy state, had yet to figure out what was going on. The back of his head was smashed by Yi Chen and he fell to the ground. At the same time, he also recovered from the dizzy state. Received skill, dizzy attack. Fell into a 1-second dizzy state. The assassins were all shocked. Before they could react, the assassin from the Myth Guild had also approached them. The instantaneous burst of damage had beheaded them into white light. Mo Lingtian's expression froze and he glided forward. Seeing Yi Chen running toward him, Mo Lingtian's eyes revealed a trace of contempt. He slowly raised his longbow and aimed at Yi Chen. After charging the arrow, he shot an arrow. In the past, assassins used to be the mage killer in the forum. I want to say that this person is the real mage killer. He's too strong. Get dizzy again. At the same time when the longbow and arrow collided, Yi Chen's skill was on cooldown. Once again, he stunned Mo Lingtian. Then, he grabbed the longbow with both hands and slapped Mo Lingtian's face fiercely, turning him into white light. Seeing that Yi Chen's health was low, Mo Lingtian's mouth revealed a trace of contempt. He pulled out another arrow from his back and put it on. Then, he pulled the bow and aimed, ready to kill Yi Chen. This is the real first in the archery trial. He's really awesome. Yi Chen really can't compare with him. Landing slash. Then, Mo Lingtian was stunned. He suddenly realized that the arrow did not seem to be aimed at him. It actually fell 3 meters away from him. Mo Lingtian was shocked and angry when he came to his senses. However, Yi Chen once again used a close combat skill to slash at him. He hurriedly glided forward, trying to pull away from Yi Chen. After shooting another arrow, Mo Lingtian directly turned around and walked toward the next shooting point that he had already chosen. Mo Lingtian was not surprised that Yi Chen had dodged his attack. After all, the gliding ability of this class was originally used to avoid skills. Go to hell. Although they had the help of the 5 alliance guilds, the Myth Guild was facing the other 6 guilds who were trying their best to break out of the encirclement. They were still under great pressure. He was extremely proud of his archery skills, but the fact that he had lost to Yi Chen had become a shame in his heart. It often made him feel ashamed. Get lost. Mo Lingtian finally could not stand it anymore. He also raised his longbow and waved it. The eagle eye ability was suddenly activated. Then, he immediately found Yi Chen, who was carrying a longbow and running toward him. Seeing Yi Chen's figure, a trace of haze appeared in Mo Lingtian's eyes. This made Mo Lingtian so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. This was a battle between 2 F***king archers. Was it really okay to play like this? You slap. Seeing this, Yi Chen, who was far away, decisively glided forward and narrowly dodged the arrow. However, when Mo Lingtian activated the gliding step, Yi Chen also decisively glided forward and approached him again. He grabbed the longbow in his hand and used it as a weapon. Once again, he smashed it toward Mo Lingtian. When practicing archery, the cultivation of one's state of mind was also extremely important. Any change in one's state of mind would affect the accuracy of the arrow. At this time, Yi Chen was undoubtedly depressed. It was always sad to lose due to fate. Seeing this, a trace of surprise flashed in Mo Lingtian's eyes. However, there was no fluctuation in his heart.